Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. Welcome back to the Two Witnesses Live. It's time once again for your daily torment report, where we go through and read the posts and the tweets from the two men who are tormenting the world the most. Although I do have to say, lately I've not been getting flipped off driving my Tesla. So is that progress? I think so. I think Elon's just not tormenting people. He's too busy with AI and spaceships and cell phones and robots and Neuralink and all of this other stuff that he's not in the Oval Office pissing people off. Although he did just cause a massive cancellation wave with Netflix, so I imagine they're not too happy with him. But anyway, let's dive right into this and get started with our boy Donald Trump. See what he's been up to. So I kind of got a glimpse at some of these things. It looks like he's got a couple of meme videos, which should be fun to go through. Hey, Lonnie, welcome back from the hospital. I hope you're doing well. Let's whole lot happened today. Yeah, we'll talk to that. I want to go through their posts real quick to see what they covered. You're talking about Fury. You're talking about the Antifa meeting at the White House. I got to see some of that. And also peace in the Middle East, kind of, hopefully, fingers crossed, probably not. Yeah, we'll talk about that. So let's watch some of these memes because they're hilarious.
Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent. We have a governor that refuses to admit he has problems. Everybody knows how bad it is. This open borders nightmare flooded our country with fentanyl and with people that shouldn't be here, some of the worst people on earth, and illicit drugs decimated American communities and left us with the largest law enforcement challenge in our country's history.
Residents say they have had enough.
We need to invite President Trump in. We invite the National Guard in. You know, we've had 254 deaths in 233 days. And for anyone in our community to say people are safe, that is an outright lie.
They need help badly. Chicago desperately needs help. We don't want to lose Chicago. We're going to lose Chicago. We want to save these places. We're going to lose it. We're not going to allow this kind of savagery to destroy our society anymore. We're stopping it, doing one by one.
You know, watching that video and listening to Donald Trump today, it got me thinking to where I wonder if we're not living through the trials that are coming on the whole world right now, if we're just not in like phase number one, because it seems like ever since Donald Trump kind of stepped out onto the stage, back when he was first elected, it seems like he's been exposing lies and corruption, and it's been causing people to go to the left and to the right, which, that may very well be the simplicity of the falling away. I mean, it could be. And I'm wondering if it's not part of the trials. And I know you might be thinking, well, what about those who are said that they're kept from the trials that are coming on the whole world? I think the trials, it seems just from observation, like the trials are occurring in stages. And maybe that's what the purpose of the seals are. When the seals are opening, it's like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. And they're trials that are coming on the whole world, and they're exposing the devil. They're exposing Satan. They're exposing liars and deceivers. Because I look at like this mayor in Chicago that Trump is pointing out, and the same thing with the mayor and the governor in Oregon, to where they're out either they're so deceived that they can't see the evil that they're allowing to exist, or they're outright lying about it. Either way, they are being put to the test and failing miserably. And you've got this guy who I believe is anointed by God coming in and proving them wrong. So he's like literally through strength leading and proving that, that no, you had your chance, you had your opportunity. And I'm almost wondering if that's not what it means when, there are some who won't be kept from the trials coming on the whole world. Like you've got these people who, and I think this exists at so many levels. I even see this with religion, to where you've got a lot of, and this might be what Jesus was referring to when he talked about the many false prophets will rise during this time. You've got so many people who are immature when it comes to the scripture and actually like the text of what's written, to where they hold to stories and fantasies rather than what was actually written. For instance, like there are figures of speech which are used in the scripture, which are quite literally not true. They're figurative. It's like saying kick the bucket. It's a figure of speech. It doesn't mean somebody literally kicked the bucket. The scripture is littered with figures of speech like this. And but there are some people who absolutely refuse, because it goes against their religion, it goes against their belief, to think that, either it's to go beyond, what they think to be the truth. And what ends up happening is they end up lying as a result of that. And I think that might be why you see so many of these false prophets that are rising up right now, and they're just adamant. Like there's, recently, just this last September, there was a false prophet who was saying that he was hearing from God and having dreams and visions from God, and it was a 1,000,000,000% chance going to happen. And he's been proved a liar, and he just keeps moving the date. He's failing the tests, right? It's like we're going through this time. He is failing the test. And maybe this is part of the falling away. Maybe this is part of that division and exposing. It's like you're exposing the darkness with the light, and people aren't getting away with it anymore like they should. And I think that it's probably going to escalate. That might also be where the seals, they progressively are going to escalate to the point to where, even catastrophic damage to the earth will be done, which I think is probably God's wrath. When the earth rotates and the islands move out of their place, and, fireballs from heaven and wormwood poisons the water, that's a whole nother level of trials coming on the whole world. Maybe we're kept from that. Maybe it's by a rapture. Anyway, that's what I was thinking today, when it's just like Trump ain't messing around anymore. His first term, he was so simple, in trusting in who he had as advisors and trusted, and a lot of them stabbed him in the back. And it's spiritual. They hate him. It's a spiritual hatred. They hate who he is. They hate what he stands for. They hate what he's doing. So they're doing everything in their power to stop them. And for whatever reason, there's something that is feeding that hatred. I mean, sure, yes, it's spiritual, but there's got to be more to it also. How did they get to that point spiritually to allow that in their mind to where they're sealed to that hatred? And is there a way back for any of them? Oh boy, you guys are busy in the chat. What are you guys talking about here? Whole lot happened today. Let's see. Yep. After we got off last night, Tommy was hit by a planned attack. About 10 people got him in a parking lot. They threw his tripod on a roof. One in particular attacked him. He was chased by cops and ran by the river. Cops got him. Antifa doxed Tommy to his job, and he lost his job. They are raising money for him. Portland is quiet today, though. They took out the Antifa camp. Antifa is building a new camp. Antifa uses an app called Resist Map. Let's see. In New York City, the Islamists held a celebration of October 7th flood. I didn't hear about that. They are pushing for a new October 7, but in America, I did hear about that. They want Islam in every household in the world. Yeah, and I'm noticing an increasing Islamic presence. Even today, was noticing, I hadn't realized, but there's, pockets of Muslims in our area. I've had Muslim friends for as long as I can remember, but there's been an influx. That is for sure. They called for death to America in the streets of New York City. The guy running for mayor was the head of the celebration, it's showing the world who he really is. Trump is threatening to use the Insurrection Act. Definitely knew about that. We'll talk about that. In Texas and in Georgia, there are Islamic communities rising up, that are gated and are no-go zones and are enacting Sharia law inside their cities. Did not know that. Release the Epstein files. It sounds like they're one vote away from releasing more Epstein files, so that's probably coming. Let's see. They are targeting red states. Cops got the attacker, not Tommy. How is Tommy? Is Tommy doing okay? Sorry, he lost his job. Although, here's the thing about Tommy is he's borderline on, acceptable behavior. and really not acceptable behavior, because um he's inciting people. I'm not saying that he deserved it, but he was mouthing off and probably making himself a target, and in such a vile way. I mean, we even got to the point where we couldn't handle listening to him. When it comes to like curse words, what I tell my daughter is they're a natural part of language. Curse words have their place. They have their time and their place on when you should use them, and it's okay to use them as long as you use them correctly and you don't use them excessively, because it's just vulgar, and you do it because you care about people. By and large, people in a civilized society don't like to hear somebody cursing all the time. So you do it on their behalf. So if you really love your neighbor and yourself, you watch your tongue, and that's what the scripture says. However, that doesn't mean that you can't say an occasional curse word. And my opinion is it doesn't matter the word, because regardless of what word you use to emphasize something, it still has the same meaning. My grandma used to say poop, instead of shit. And my wife thinks that shit is equal to poop, so she says it all the time. So much so that that was literally my daughter's first word. Um, but and you have these words that if you try and substitute these curse words with something that sounds nicer, it will still adopt the same meaning. Let me give you an example. Me and my wife play video games, and oh no, it wasn't video games. It was during a holiday. We were at a Black Friday, back when Black Friday was actually really fun. We were standing in line at Target for a Black Friday and just chatting with, some people in the line, and they were saying that in their family they say somebody is pretty rather than somebody is stupid, or insert derogatory word to indicate the lack of intelligence. So they would substitute it with the word pretty. So we started using the word pretty in similar context, and it caught on so much so that we were using our friends, that we were playing video games with, would start using it as well, to where you would look at, where you would say oh my gosh, that person is so pretty, they just made a gorgeous mistake, and people eventually realize, wait a minute, you're calling me stupid. So it's just like, you may be shrouding the meaning of something by changing the word, but people eventually catch on. It's still a word that emphasizes something. The meaning, the underlying meaning is still the same. But yeah, so I mean, like, I appreciate Tommy because, he's supporting, you know, my opinion of things, and going down there and counter protesting Antifa, but in doing so in the way that he did it wasn't the smartest way of doing it. Insurrection Act in play already, in your opinion? Let's see. They are one vote away, but Mike Johnson isn't swearing her in. This is the longest time someone's ever gone without being sworn in. Friends and family who are not Islamic. Let's see. There was one of the good Islamics who you would ever think would do such a thing to anyone. Agreed. Yeah, I wasn't aware that happened to Tommy. I know that when watching I was watching the White House in between work today. I was watching the White House conference that Trump did with the journalists who were covering Antifa, and they kept talking. Not them, but the people I was watching the show with kept talking about Tommy and asking where he is and how he was doing. And I had no context for why. Anyway, let's keep going on with Trump's posts here. We can talk more as things come up. So this is a big deal. This is the peace in the Middle East. These are families from people who are associated with the hostages from October 7th.
We are the families of hostages have come here to Washington, D.C. this week to mark the October 7th attack against our people, when our loved ones were captured by Hamas terrorists. Yesterday, we gathered here in the Sukkah of Hope with the Trump administration. And today, President Trump has done it. He announced just now that our loved ones, the hostages, are coming home. We will not stop fighting until we see the last of the 48th return to their family. Those who were murdered in captivity, buried in the land of Israel, those who are still alive, walking through the border and reuniting with us, the families. Thank you, President Trump, for your courage. Thank you, the Trump administration, for doing everything you can to bring them home. Let's do it.
Yeah. Do you guys think that they're gonna allow them to come home, the final hostages? I'm kind of on the fence. I think they're gonna delay and drag their feet till February. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Yeah. I mean, like, it would be great if you know, they could bundle it up in a nice little 2-year package, and not have it go on, and that might be why the push and the announcements and stuff like that. So here's an announcement in regards to that. I'm very proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. This means that all of the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed upon line as the first step towards a strong, durable, and everlasting peace. All parties will be treated fairly. This is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, all surrounding nations, and the United States of America. And we thank the mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey who worked with us to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. Blessed are the peacemakers. Oh, interesting. Isn't that from Matthew? I think Jesus said that. Blessed are the peacemakers. Where's that written? Blessed are the peacemakers. Yeah, Matthew 5:9. There you go. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Interesting. What's the context of that? Oh, yeah. And seeing the multitudes, he went up upon the mountain, and when he was seated, his disciples came to him. Then he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when they revile and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my name's sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven, for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. That's nice. Huh. That's great. I hope it happens. I really do. Oh, Trump posting again. I hope Univision. Great. He's really pushing this. I think he wants to keep this in the forefront. Or is this an ad? That might be an ad. So he's not posting this. This is just he's paying for advertising on his own website. And he's dressed it up like a post. Or somebody is. Maybe it's Univision. Might be Univision paying for this. I hope Univision, a great and very popular Hispanic network, can get back onto the very amazing Google YouTube. Oh, interesting. I think this is that same ad that we just posted. All right, this is Mr. Schumer. This is another meme video. Oops. I forgot to share the tab. There we go. Yeah, so this is what I was commenting on this Univision thing. Apparently, somebody is paying for this to pop up as an ad. Apparently, I keep thinking it's a post, but nope, it's an ad. All right, here's the meme video with Schumer.
Democrats, the party of open borders, transgender for everybody, lawlessness in our streets, are shutting down the government in an effort to appease the radical left. These Democrats are coordinating their strategy with outside leftist groups and are demanding nearly $1.5 trillion in spending for an agenda that includes healthcare for illegal aliens, and much, much more. Democrats for years have railed against government shutdowns, claiming a shutdown would mean much chaos and pain and needless heartache for the American people. Democrats are out of control, and you know who it hurts?
You, everyday people, and the most vulnerable. Seniors, veterans, working families, hungry kids, y'all.
Tell Congress to avoid the Democrat-led government shutdown.
Paid for by President Donald J. Trump. My understanding is they won't even sign a continuation of the previous spending. They're putting their stake in the ground to get their additional funding, part of which is for healthcare for illegal aliens and other services. Let's see. Op-ed Rep. Andy Barr, why I'm leading legislation to put Trump on a new $250 bill. Okay. Congressman Jeff Van Drew is a MAGA warrior for the incredible people of New Jersey's second congressional district. All right. I don't want to read these congressman things. Congressman Chris Smith is a fantastic representative for the wonderful people of New Jersey's 4th congressional district. If you're in these areas voting for these guys, I'd vote for him. I'd vote for Jeff Van Drew if I was in an area, or Chris Smith. Florida Attorney General James Youthmeyer is doing a great job for the Sunshine State, which I won big in 2016, 2020, and 2024. Chicago, switching to Chicago, Chicago mayor should be in jail for failing to protect ICE officers. Governor Pritzker also. Yeah, it's a terrible shame what's going on in Chicago. I was listening to Tim Pool talk about it. And it's funny because it's so bad. It's been so bad for so long that we literally make movies about how bad Chicago is. Like, think of any cop movie that you've seen, and probably half of them have been done in Chicago. That's how bad it is. Like, when there's, a huge crime problem, very likely Chicago has been involved in some of those movies. It's just so bad. And it's the status quo for how they expect Chicago to be. And Tim was saying that something about being in a political office in Chicago was inevitable, that you would end up in jail. Like, that was the reward for being in office in Chicago, because it's so corrupt that even the politicians are corrupt and they eventually get put into jail. So Chicago mayor should be in jail for failing to protect ICE officers. If somebody would come in there and they would just get things fixed and sorted out, maybe they could put a stop to the cycle of crime. And see, here's that ad again. All right, the U.S. Navy. So this is 20 hours ago. The U.S. Navy always stands for America. As Commander-in-Chief, I will always stand for you. All right, I think we're done through his posts. Yep. So those are Donald's posts for the day. Let's go back to chat. Let's see. Tommy's okay. Police actually took him home. Well, glad to hear it. Sorry he lost his job, but that's kind of the consequences of your actions when you act like a fool. If I knew Tommy, even if I loved, even with the same appreciation that I have for Tommy, I think he's a good dude. He was just he lost control. He was going overboard. I know people like that. I'm sure you do too. If I saw Tommy behaving like that, I'd probably fire him too and still be friends, because that's not representative of, the behavior that you really want to encourage. It's like, dude, you need to go take a break and chill out a little bit. Yeah. Sorry he lost his job, but had he been a little bit more mellow, that probably wouldn't have happened. A little bit more like that BC preacher guy. He was doing well. He was going around talking to people. And the funny thing is behaving the way that Tommy was behaving doesn't really change people's hearts, right? It's just like, you're not really being a good example. You're being a mirror for bad behavior, just on the opposite side. So he was really just mirroring their bad behavior. So in some ways he was kind of like, MAGA Antifa. but not Antifa and from the perspective of anti-fascism, just like their idiotic behavior, acting like foolish children. Really. I don't know what this comment means with bloodline. See, let's check a definition on persecuted. I don't think Jesus said those words. Oh, are you referring to Matthew when I was reading in Matthew? Blessed are those who are persecuted. Blessed are you when you revile, blessed are you when they revile and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my name's sake. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. You really want me to go look that up? I mean, we could. Okay, what is that? Matthew 11. I'm just going to cheat and use Grok. Let's see. In Matthew 5:11. Persecuted in the original texts. I'm just doing this quick because I don't want to go do a whole word study on this. It's just easier to have Grok do it. In Matthew 5:11, the English word persecuted, as in the King James Version, blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you. Translated from the Greek word dioko. Oh, it's right here, dioko, which literally means to pursue or to chase after. Is that what they were doing with Tommy? In this context, it carries the implication of hostile pursuit or persecution, especially in a religious sense. The specific form used in the verse is the aorist active subjunctive third person plural, dioxosin. Dioxosin. I can't pronounce that. As found in the original Koine Greek text of the New Testaments. Textus Receptus, Allen editions. This form fits the subjective mood of a clause expressing a hypothetical or conditional situation when they persecute you. All right, that makes sense. I don't know if he said those words. That's true about anything in the scripture. It's just like, you know, that kind of goes back to my point about the cuss words is even if the word changes, the meaning can still be the same underneath. So like as it was translated from one language to a next, by and large, the meaning is still the same. I almost wonder if that's not why God doesn't use figures of speech in certain places in the scripture, and fantasy imagery as a means to protect the meaning, because if you have a crazy image of like horses, plagues, green rainbows and stuff like that, I'm thinking about the book of Revelation, and a window opened in heaven and you saw a throne, like that. The visual imagery may translate better may survive better through translations, than if God would have had it more plainly written. Plus, there's also the fact that this was hidden, this was sealed up. If you remember when it was given to Daniel, the things that were going to happen at the very end, it was sealed up and hidden until this time. Which is one of the reasons why it's just like how do people think that the interpretations that they had before any of the prophecies were fulfilled could possibly be correct, right? I mean, isn't that kind of egotistical or prideful to think that like like something that was hidden and sealed, that you were going to figure it out before it was actually revealed? I don't know. I think that's a little haughty to think that, like, and to hold to it to the point to where you might actually ignore the fulfillment. I think the Pharisees did that. So, I mean, all the Pharisees pretty much missed Jesus, right? When he was born. I mean, they had 30 years with him. Some of them, maybe, uh, you know, I'm sure a couple of them had gone through Nazareth and saw this boy asking questions. I mean, like the scripture does indicate that what little it says about his childhood, he made an impression. Like he was, his parents lost him. He was found in the temple asking questions of the teachers, of the rabbis. Anyway, sorry, I'm distracted. Let's continue. Yeah, let's see. Demon crates. Yep, Democrats, demon crates. Healthcare for illegal aliens. Biggest lie of all time. Actually, shutdowns mostly hurt federal workers and military. Yeah. Let's see. You think Jesus said, "Blessed are those who get hostile and all treated and ill treated because of their religion, etc." Jesus did not say these words. Jesus said, "Love one another as I have done." I'm not sure what you're referring to. I was just reading from Matthew 11. Are you saying it said something else? Jesus would never persecute you for your religion. He was, in fact, persecuted for heresy. His beliefs didn't line up with the law. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Judy, I don't know what. See, Fury doesn't know either. Fury says, Judy, I don't know what you were talking about. Who said anything about persecuting anyone? He said, "Blessed are the peacemakers." Read the verse again. It said, "Blessed are the persecuted for the righteous, for righteousness' sake." Uh, Blessed are you when they revile and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my name's sake. Is that what you're referring to? Or are you referring to this one? Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake. I'm not sure what your point is. I'd write my own book stating what Jesus' words were, but nobody would listen to me anyway. Well, that's how you get started. I mean, if you've got special knowledge or if you've learned something and you want to share it with people, people people don't know what you have to say until you say the words. It's just the same thing with marketing. People don't know where you are until you tell them. If you've got something to share, share it. Let's see, Fury. Well, yeah, because Jesus told us we could expect to be persecuted by those in the world who were against him, who would take it out on us. I think you should go back and read the Bible and ask God to reveal it to you. Let's see, mirroring their bad behavior. Bro, what does that mean? Oh, I. So I was saying that in regards to Tommy's behavior. Were you watching the show last night when we were watching Tommy and his behavior? In a lot of ways, it was mirroring Antifa. Antifa is out there yelling and screaming and being untoward and ugly. And his behavior was comparable to theirs. I mean, he was not behaving in a Christ-like manner. Which was contrasted by BC Preacher, who was out there, who was behaving in a Christ-like manner, and it was accomplishing far more than Tommy was. Tommy's reward for his behavior is they chased him down and beat him up. I don't think they did that with BC Preacher. BC Preacher got into some great conversations, listened to a couple of people, and made some good points that may have reached the hearts of those who listened to him. And the whole time, I don't think he even used any scripture or any kind of religious language. He was just asking questions and talking. Empathetical conversation has far more impact than narcissistic conversation. And what I mean by that is if you want to do all the talking, telling people what you know and what's right and what's wrong, that's narcissistic in ways. It's far better that you ask questions and listen, because you can reach people far better by doing that, because people won't open their heart unless they feel that you're taking care of it and they're being hurt. And I'm not saying narcissistic in a means to convict you. I believe we all are guilty of this. So it's a general comment to everybody. If you want to do all the talking and don't want to do any of the listening, that's not a good way of reaching people. Let's see. If Trump is of the bloodline of Christ, then there is a king in America. What brought that up? Is he of the bloodline of Christ? Let's see. At Kelly Delusional. Okay. Why? So Judy, were you living with Jesus at that time? The disciples who lived with him wrote the 4 Gospels. Trump isn't even a Christian. He fakes it. Yeah, I don't know about that. There's a lot of people who get it that spiritually see Trump working for God. So I don't know what you mean by Christian. It sounds, just the way that you say that sounds like you're trying to label him as not a Christian as a means to make us look at him poorly. And his behavior and his actions seem very Christ-like, to me. He gives credit to Jesus. He gives credit to God. He gives glory to God. I mean, hell, in the post we just read, he said, "Blessed are the peacemakers," in regards to the peace agreement between Hamas and Israel. He's referencing the scripture. So what's your definition of Christian? If he doesn't, are you saying that because he doesn't agree with your doctrine, or because he's not saying chapter and verse, that he's not a Christian? I think that part of what we're seeing in this day and age right now is highlighting that like it's very likely that Donald Trump and Elon Musk could be the two witnesses. And you might be asking yourself, well, why would God choose these guys? Because he doesn't pick people based on their appearances. He picks people based on their hearts. He probably raised them up to be who they are so that they could fight this fight today. And they're doing a damn good job. Let's see, Kelly, on what grounds would you assume that Trump is of the bloodline of Christ? Funnily enough, Trump's spiritual advisor, well, it isn't funny, but he was arrested for doing bad things with a 12-year-old girl. You're speaking propaganda. That's not true. These are the kinds of people supposedly teaching Trump about God. Well, I'm not saying that his spiritual advisor is a perfect person or any of the people around him are perfect people. Do you have a perfect past? Are you without sin? Let those among you without sin cast the first stone. We're all sinners. We all got crap in our lives. We live in a world that's controlled by the devil. So, according to our Constitution, we have no royalty in our country. Fury LeBlanc, we have the loyalty now. Trump has no plans for us to be a democracy again. Unless you have specific evidence, that is hearsay and slander. Hence what, okay, you guys are just getting into a back and forth. All right, I'm not going to read that whole conversation. If you guys want to see what is being said in the comments, you can. Let's move on with Elon Musk. Actually, let me go check the feeds real quick in Portland to make sure we're not missing anything. I can't believe I logged off right before something happened with Tommy. Let's see. Nothing really. I mean, there's people down, but everybody's pretty much seems like they're either talking about Chicago or they're talking about the roundtable with Trump today. Alrighty, let's see. Am I sharing this tab? No. Let me share this. All right, the same pinned Kung Fu Ninja posts. If you guys like generating video, that's kind of his main talking points today. Elon Musk has been pushing the new advancements with the AI video for generating video, which this is going to make it really interesting. You know how Trump likes to generate, he likes to have those memes and commercials made in order to make his points. It's going to be interesting how those things develop over the next couple of years, given AI video. It's going to be fun. All right, try it out before. Let's see. Hot tip: before you sign any legal form, dump the whole thing into Grok and ask it to read this for me and tell me what I should know before signing. Oh, that's brilliant. I deal with a lot of contracts, and I'm the type of person that I will read through every single line because inevitably I always find things that need to change before I sign it. This is a brilliant time saver. So if you read contracts, or if if you're signing something, this is a great way to ask to find out what's important that you should know. Let's see, direct video generation from text coming soon. Let's see, you can instantly generate Grok Imagine videos using any simple dark image, skipping the need for custom image for video. Interesting. Huh. Temporary workaround. Direct video generation for text coming soon. If you don't have the Grok app, WTF are you doing? Download it now. Agreed. I love the Grok app. I probably use it at least once a day, if not more. Just out and about. Just hit the talk button to ask questions. Let's see. It used to be that I would do that with Google. It'd be like, you'd say the phrase, which if I say it, mine's gonna pop off here. But I prefer Grok. Grok gives way better answers. DC is unrecognizable. It used to be a dead zone after 9 p.m. Now people are everywhere. Trump's National Guard has transformed this city. Fantastic for people who love peace and to be able to go out to dinner in the evening. I love hearing that. If you've got a problem with Donald Trump cleaning up the cities, what else do you expect him to do? That is what a good leader does. Do you want somebody who allows chaos, death, crime? Why is it that people have a problem that Donald Trump is trying to clean up this country? How it's like you want to focus on things which are just made up lies from the fake media, and you want to hold those against him when everybody can see what he's doing. He's not done any of the things these people are claiming against him. It's, even these king's protests, like, he's getting damn near close to implementing the Insurrection Act, but he's done it after taking every conceivable step to not do that. And you know what? I don't have a problem with it. I'm perfectly happy for him to do the Insurrection Act because I trust him. I trust him more than the fake news media and the people who are trying to label him as some evil creature. So you know what? By all means. Let's see, incarcerating repeat violent offenders causes violence to drop and many innocent lives to be saved. Yeah, you can just do things. Let's see, the homicide rate in El Salvador has decreased from 103 per 100,000 inhabitants in 2015 to 1 per 100,000 inhabitants this year. That's great. Oh my God, that's so loud. I love it. You can just do things. I don't know what this comment means, but I think it's comparable, just from what little information I have here. It seems like it's comparable to the we can eat out in DC after 9 o'clock, which is kind of a positive thing. So seems like it's implying that this is a positive thing in El Salvador, which is great when crime rate drops. Absolutely. Incarcerating repeat violent offenders causes violence to drop and many innocents' lives to be saved. That is amazing. That is something to be praised. Good job, El Salvador. Good job, Donald Trump. Anybody who's reducing the crime rate, good job. Well done. All right. Grok Code now available in Visual Studio. That's a programmer's software. Let's see. The existence of even one detransitioner dismantles the central lie of transgenderism, that it is an innate characteristic from birth and therefore should have human rights awarded to it. I think Chloe Cole is somebody who detransitioned. The existence of even one detransitioner dismantles the central lie of transgenderism, that it is an innate characteristic from birth and therefore should have human rights awarded to it. Yeah, absolutely. So that's one of the big Democrat talking points, is that transgenderism is people can't change, and it's a thing from birth, which is one of the reasons why they're probably pushing so hard to our children to put this nonsense in their heads. Chloe Cole here is making the point that the existence of one detransitioner dismantles that lie. So does the scripture. You mean to tell me that gay people are gay because they were born that way, but transgender people aren't the gender they were born, even though they were born that way? I love memes. All right, moving on. Let's see. 13 hours ago. Hello, Grockleywood. Final scene from King Kong revisited by Grok. Yeah, I tell you, movies and video games are going to be really interesting the next couple of years. We're going to be overwhelmed with content. That's for sure. It's a good point to be funny, because funny things tend to raise to the surface. Pretty cool. All right. Bring any character to life with Grok Imagine. See, it's never been this easy to bring an anime character to life in motion. Yeah. All right. Enough about Grok. Let's see. In March 2016, Elon unveiled the Tesla Model 3, promising an affordable electric vehicle starting at $35,000. Oh, yeah. They have a new Model 3 that they just released. 35 grand. Let's see. August 2025. 27. I think the actual end price is, what is this? I have no idea what I'm looking at. But I do know that they just released a new Model 3. I assume that's what this is in reference to. Let's see. I was quite literally radicalized by 60 Minutes. Oh. I used to be like so many Americans, watching it religiously and trusting it. But then as a young man, I watched them do a report on something for which I am an expert. Their reporting was wildly inaccurate and was obviously done in such a way as to pass untruths as truths in order to advance a left-wing political narrative. I never looked back and never again trusted any media outlet. I submit that 60 Minutes has done more damage to truth in America than any other institution in the past 100 years. Yet this woman, purporting to be a journalist, is wholly unaware of that reality. Journalism has become a religion based on advocacy and faith alone, with a deliberate disregard for objective truths. Ha! Pray for 60 Minutes. It is the most indispensable news entity we have. And so this is the post. This is the original post. Pray for 60 Minutes. It is the most indispensable news entity we have, and is about to be overseen by someone who thinks we need to give equal weight to people who argue that the earth is flat and to people who argue that the earth is round. His response is, I was quite literally radicalized by 60 Minutes. Yeah, I remember those days, when you only had 3 channels and 60 Minutes dominated 2 of them. That's a figure of speech. That's not literal, but you know what I mean. I used to watch 60 Minutes growing up, and you trusted things that you saw on TV. And in so many ways, a lot of the people that are radicalized, a lot of people who hate Trump, it's based on this fake news. People who are making these claims and trying to label Trump as this, that, or the other thing, or trying to say, oh, he did this thing and that's why you should hate him. And he's trying to be a king, and he's going to push the button and nuke the world. It's just like they make all these BS claims that never come to pass because they have this deep underlying hatred for the man. Where's that hatred coming from? Looking at what he's doing is not hate worthy. He is cleaning, unless you're a criminal. If you're a criminal, I can understand why you would hate him, because he's putting a stop to your crime. All right, moving on. Let's see. My cat Muffin, the new Grok Imagine upgrade is great. Does this have audio? Apparently you can generate videos with audio too. 22 hours ago. Okay, Eric Trump just flipped the script on Chris Cuomo live on the air, leaving him shocked. Cuomo accused President Trump of going after his political opponents the moment he took office. Ooh, let's listen to this.
Do you think that it is fair to say it looks like the administration is going after its political opponents now and doing exactly what you say you oppose?
What, Comey? Because I mean, it seemed very clear to me in the congressional testimony. I don't know, just watching it, I certainly seemed like he lied to me. I mean, I'm also wondering what an FBI director is doing, taking memos from the FBI and leaking them to the New York Times. I mean, Chris, I'm a guy that hopes that the FBI director would be keeping planes from flying into buildings, keeping our country safe, keeping the Western way of life safe. Instead, this guy is, communicating every single day with the New York Times. I mean, I'd hope a lot better, but I find it so ironic that you're literally one that's pushing back on the weaponization of government when the very same people that were coming after us, went after your brother, like hounds. I mean, they did everything they could to destroy his governorship. They did everything they could to destroy his life. They did everything they could to destroy you. I sat in that same seat. The only difference is my last name wasn't Cuomo. My last name was Trump. They were trying to destroy my father. And by doing that, they were trying to destroy me, and they were trying to destroy the Trump organization. They were trying to take all our assets and strip our name off of every building in New York City. You've been on the receiving end of the very same people that I've been on the receiving end of. And so to play coy with me as if this isn't happening in the United States of America just seems ironic and foolish, given what you've been through more so than anybody.
Hold on a second. What did you just say that you think I'm doing? I'm asking you questions about whether or not, if something is wrong, it is also wrong to do the same thing when you get back in power, which certainly happened the first time the administration came in. You went right after Biden, and I don't mean you weren't part of the administration. I'll get to you in a second in terms of what's going on right now. But if you think I'm playing coy, You don't know me as well as you should.
Chris,
I'm not playing
Chris,
coy. I know what happened to
but
me,
Chris,
Eric.
did we?
I'm saying
Chris,
that
and it was
what is
horrible what
happening
happened to you.
now looks like what was done to you. That's why I'm asking the
Hey,
question.
did we raid Biden's home? You know, did we try and bankrupt Biden? Did they come after us? Did we weaponize every AG and DA, you know, against Biden? Do we do that against Hunter Biden, who had a laptop from hell, pictures of cocaine, illicit drug use, prostitution? You know, did we do that? Did we make up a dirty dossier about Biden? Did they try and destroy Biden's marriage? You know, was any of that true? I mean, did we make up stories that Biden had secret servers in the basement of his home communicating with the Kremlin in Russia? You know, did we strip Biden off the ballot of multiple states? Did we take Biden off of Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and try and silence his voice so he couldn't communicate? Did we put Biden in a courtroom every single day? 91 felony counts that have all been overturned for my father now, right? For nonsense, to try and keep him off of a campaign trail and to try and destroy his life. You know, did we do any of that?
Yeah, it's like people want to they want to associate what Trump is doing by cleaning up crime and cleaning up the streets with what Biden did. Those two things are not the same. And Eric Trump made a very good point that what they did was crime. What they did was criminal. You know, 91 accusations that were all proven wrong, but they continued time and time and time again. This utter hatred for Donald Trump is spiritual, and it's systematic, and it's like a virus. It's like that woke mind virus, to where I really do think it's stupid people. I think these people who are falling prey to this stuff are idiots, because they're only listening to one side. They're not being empathetic in the conversation. They're not listening to both sides. They just think they know everything, and they're going on attack mode. And it's infectious. We're called to love one another, right? And Donald Trump is doing his part by separating those who don't want to love people, who are committing heinous crimes. Like who was it? Kristi Noem just came to Portland and helped the damn governor do their job by getting a pedophile off the street who was molesting young children. Like, that's what he is doing. That is not the same thing that Biden was doing when he was going after Donald Trump, raiding his home, filing lawsuit after lawsuit, turning every attorney general against him, making fake information, you know, fake dossiers that they were trying to use to stop him from being the president. Those who pay attention to the information saw that happening and could see the evil. It's like, did they think that they were fooling everyone? Clearly, no. This has to be part of the spiritual separation, because the freaking idiots that fall for that stuff have to be worthless hares. Seriously. Unbelievable. Protesting attempted rape is punished more than attempted. Let's see. Protesting attempted rape is punished more than attempted rape in Britain. Yeah, Britain's really bad right now. 3 Epping protesters have been jailed, getting longer sentences than the migrant who sparked the disorder by assaulting a girl, 14. Martin Pegram, Dean Smith, and Stuart William will serve 2 years each. Illegal migrant Hadush Kibatu just got 12 months. That's ridiculous. Yeah, so this is a repost from Elon Musk highlighting this kind of behavior. Is this the kind of is this what you want to happen? Is this what people want to happen? I mean, like, those who oppose Donald Trump and even Elon Musk. Elon Musk is bringing this to the attention. But this is the kind of thing that Donald Trump is fighting against. This is the kind of thing that those he has put in positions of power are fighting against. Is this why is it that the people who are protecting others are the ones who are being persecuted the worst? 2 years versus 1 year? Come on. Protesting attempted rape is punished more than the actual attempted rape in Britain. Ridiculous. This is pretty cool. This is worth noting. Tonight, Tesla full self-driving supervised version 14 successfully drove me to a supercharger, selected and reversed into a stall, and perfectly parked all on its own. Twice. No alignment or distance issues at all. This is the kind of stuff Elon Musk is working on. Like, that dude is juggling so many things and doing so many amazing things. That this is really cool. I haven't gotten this version yet. I haven't tested it, but I'm excited for when it drops. How fast is Grok? Imagine, you say? This fast. Ha ha ha. All right, we are in the other day. Okay, we're done. Done with the torment reports. All right, what have you guys been talking about? I got a whiff that there was some conflict, some flaming going on. I'm only going to start here at the end. Oh, yes. Anyone who disagrees with you is inspired by demons. BS democracy is mob rule. One of the most important parts that makes us democratic republic is the ability to vote people out, gives extra power to people. Yeah, and you know what? All that power that they were marshaling for themselves, the Democrats, is now in Trump's hands. How do you like that? All of that power to where they have given him so much power, even in the shutdown. Did the Congress not realize that the power reverts to Donald Trump? So executive power rules, baby. They're idiots. To me, it looks like, from my perspective, it seems like God is empowering Donald Trump to get shit done, preparing for the return of Christ. And yeah, it's tormenting people. Clearly, we have some of those who are tormented around us today. Those trying to sell you on democracy are not talking about our government. They're trying to replace it with a government called multicultural democracy. Yeah. All right. Well, what do we got going on? Do we have anything going on in Portland yet? Let me go have a look-see. We may call it an early evening for now. Tommy's on. All right. Tommy is on.
But it ain't gonna stop me from coming out here. Yeah, I'm on YouTube, but not right now. I'm literally surprised that I'm even able to stream because I got a notification saying I've almost reached my data limit, which I've never got that notification before. So it's pretty interesting. So I'm thinking about getting like a eSIM with just data to use only when I'm streaming, you know? Just use the eSIM. Can't stop me from defending myself. That's a fact. I called the lawyer today and gave him all my information. I'm just waiting for him to call me back and let me know if he's gonna accept the case or not, you know? Hopefully, because Nick's the one that referred me to him, so I'm thinking hopefully he will. It's pretty much the same type of shit. Yeah, they'll slow it down. Yeah. Once it hits 35 gigs, it slows down. It gives actual T-Mobile customers priority over the data. So I got to figure something out. Honestly, I just need to get a whole nother phone just for streaming so I have my phone available when I need it.
Not really anything going on. I just wanted to hear Tommy talk a little bit.
My shirt says, "We love ICE. We support ICE." Yes, sir. What up, bro? Thank you. Yes, sir. He brought my flag back. Woo. He rode all the way here with this.
Tommy, I rode with it on my motorcycle.
I know, bro. I ordered a 3x4 foot real American flag with the pole. And every time I come out here on the scooter, I'm going to be riding with my flags. Because this is America.
You want to do a short interview?
Yeah.
So, you got your shirt, you got your flag, your back.
Yes, sir. We support ICE. Yeah.
You're not going to stop.
This is as close as I'm going to get. But I'm still here and I'm not going nowhere. And everybody knows it, you know? So I don't got to get no closer than this to trigger these motherfuckers. That's all it takes.
No.
You know?
So what happened last night?
Man, they say they're non-violent, but we all know it's bullshit. I was literally minding my business, recording in the back by myself, nobody around me, Hadn't said nothing to nobody for at least 10 minutes talking to my chat, and all of a sudden I just get bombarded from the back. Snatches my tripod, tries to grab it. I bumped him down. He hit the bush, and I held him down until I got my phone out of his hand. And he jumped up and took off running. What's up? Yeah.
I know you're recording, and we're recording too. Just
I didn't do nothing, right?
No.
Okay, I'm like, oh, no. Huh?
You're not under arrest. You're not under arrest right now.
But you're in a violation of that court order, so
I am?
We're going to help educate you on that.
I thought 200 feet.
So
200 feet.
here's a little hasty map in the corner.
Too close.
Yeah, you absolutely have been too close. So I wouldn't go past this apartment building. I would
Where's
say
that at? Right here?
this one right here.
Okay.
And the way I was Googling it on my Google Map with the measurement, it was almost at the middle of the hedge, like in between both of those apartment complexes.
Okay.
And to be safe,
All right.
it looks like it might be
That parking thing?
Yeah, if not a little further.
I'll just go back over
this
here.
This is literally just a hasty map.
Thank you for letting me know.
But you're going to be documented every single time you violate this.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Yeah, I figured this was...
You're running the risk. The court order is from a judge,
Yeah.
the court system, right? So you're basically giving the finger to the court system.
I think it was a mistake, though.
I didn't realize that 200 feet was that far away.
Court order from a judge.
No. Yeah,
Being educated right now.
No, that's why I said I'm not going no... I thought this was plenty 200 feet. That's why I literally was saying I'm not going no closer than this. But I'll go. All right. I'm going around the block, you guys. I'm going around the block and going back to the other side. See, they're trying to stop me from being out here. It's just crazy, dude.
That is ridiculous. And that looked like it was well over
is
200
crazy.
feet.
I'm making a difference out here. I'm bringing patriots and I'm making a difference.
I will give you
And
that.
They don't want me here. They don't want me showing what's happening.
His outrageous behavior is getting attention, so there is that for positive. But last night he was way overboard. I mean, he was throwing the F word around like crazy.
Pretrial release services. I got pretrial release services, and I can't be within 200 feet. I figured that was plenty far enough.
So, Tommy, I'm sorry. We were talking, and
Yeah.
you were saying what happened last night.
Yeah, so, and he jumped on me, grabbed my stuff, and I'm going, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? And the cops just watched. They seen it happening and didn't react right away. They waited, and Black Rebel jumped up and took off running and chased him. I think he pulled his mask off his head because he was masked whenever he jumped on me. And he took off running. So when I seen him chasing him, I jumped up and tried to run and follow. And they swarmed me, jumped in my path, blocked my path, swarmed me, threatened me with death, said I'm gonna get Charlie Kirked, doxed me.
Wow.
Doxed my work. I had to quit my job this morning because they know where I work, and I have way too much respect for the owners of where I worked to let that come to their place of business. So I made the decision to quit this morning, and they totally understood. But yeah, this is outlandish, bro, and I'm gonna make it my full-time job to expose what's going on.
So I think one thing we should clarify, when I walked up and started interviewing you, you were telling me that you couldn't be within 200 feet.
Yeah.
You were going to honor that.
Yep, I'm not going.
I said you were too close, and
Yeah.
you didn't know that.
No, I mean 200 feet's not. I don't know.
We could get a measuring tape.
Yeah,
They should get a measuring tape.
They just don't want me out here because we're making a difference, you guys. We're making a difference. We're bringing patriots out here. We're making our voices heard. We're all over the news, all over the world, because what we're doing is right, and what we're doing is going to be part of history, because this is a turning point, and they're trying to stop it. You know?
So one thing I want to get your opinion on, this is the quietest I've ever seen it down here.
Yeah.
What do you think about the change?
It's probably just temporary, just because Kristi Noem was here and they want to make it seem like they know what they're doing or they got it covered. But as soon as all the shit dies down, it's going to go right back. It's going to go right back. Until we get the feds out here and really put the boots on the ground, it's not going to change. It might look like it right now, but wait a couple hours. That's all it'll take.
Why do you think they want to destroy your car, steal your phone?
Because I'm exposing them. Because I'm exposing them. Because I'm exposing them for the type of people they are, for being terrorists, for being agitators, for being violent, not peaceful. There's some of them that are out here that are peaceful, that are nice, that are respectful, but that's very, very few. That's the very, very minor, maybe one or two or three. You know, all the other ones are like this one, drunk and disorderly all the time.
All the time, your voice cracked.
From yelling at.
See, that's not.
Our slurs. Yeah.
200 yards is like 7 cars long. Yeah.
You want me to tell you what I think of you? What do you think you know about me?
You don't believe in their beliefs.
You don't believe in nothing.
See, I don't think Tommy is right the way he treats this guy.
Yeah, but you being drunk and this guy being drunk all day, every day is probably a lot different.
You don't like my favorite beverage?
No.
What did you drink this morning?
I drank orange juice.
I think your shirt's stupid.
I love my shirt. Oh, you guys want to see my
shirt?
You guys want to see my shirt that a supporter got me? I support ICE. Let's go. Because you are. Because you are. Special Ed. He took the short bus.
Yeah. I can't see Jesus behaving
he took
like
the
this.
short bus. I think
I
he
see
got
Jesus
triggered.
behaving more like that BC preacher.
Kiss my ass.
All this does is
Portland
agitate.
says fuck Antifa.
All right.
Portland says fuck Antifa.
All right, I've had enough of Tommy. I just kind of wanted to hear his story, see what had happened. Nothing's really going on down there. I don't want to see him like agitating any more than that. You'll see. I don't think anybody else is really going to be broadcasting down there. It looks like it's pretty mellow. I was wrong. There's this person. There's Tommy. Somebody behind Tom. Oh, this is the guy who was interviewing Tommy.
A semi-homeless person who comes out here, and he's normally very chill. That was not chill. That was angry. That was angry. And why would he be angry? The party's over.
Yeah, that's a terrible way to treat him.
The camps are gone. The music's gone. The fake costumes are gone. Black Bloc is gone. There's more press and more police out here right now than Antifa. And I bet they're fucking pissed. I bet they're fucking pissed. I would be. You get cleared out for the DHS secretary, I'm sure they hate her. Let's talk to Tommy some more.
This is why we Americans like ICE. Are you American?
Why don't you like ICE?
Like ICE.
Well, you said fuck me because I support ICE, so that means you don't like ICE.
Fuck you.
You didn't just say that?
Oh, come on.
Hey, buddy.
Really?
You don't believe it.
You don't like somebody else has a different opinion.
Oh, these motherfuckers, bro. These motherfuckers. These motherfuckers, bro. He just smacked my phone out of my hand for no fucking reason, bro.
I told him to get the camera on my face.
It's public, bro. I can record in public.
No, you can't. I asked you.
You can't hit my fucking phone, bro. Yeah. See, they're violent. They're violent. I'm recording. I asked him why he don't like ICE, and he fucking smacks my phone out of my hand.
You have no idea what you did, American.
Yeah.
You have no idea. I'm a real son.
Man. These people, dude. They have no self-control, no impulse control.
Is your phone okay?
Yeah. I got a screen protector.
Tommy, why do you think a lot of these people are drunk or mentally ill? What is that?
Because they supply
actually make contact with you?
Oh yeah,
I have it on
went
video.
fine. You hit my hand, yeah. Yeah.
You should have put it in my
For
face.
my first, I didn't put it in your face,
Yeah,
bro.
you did.
I'm
You
recording
did
just
put it in
like
my
this.
face.
You walked up to me, bro.
Crazy. Oh, well, it's on a live stream, so I'd have to end it to show you. But I do have the video. You can take my name, and I'd be glad to share it with evidence. I don't want to end the live stream unless you need it.
Yeah, it was 200 feet, not 200 yards. 200 feet, and I'm not trying to violate that.
What do we want to do with this guy?
I mean, he hit my phone out of my hand. He hit me in the hand. I want him arrested.
He also seems to be drunk.
Yeah, for sure. All I did was ask him why he don't support ICE. And he got all triggered.
Come on.
We don't
Tom.
have a facility to take people that are inebriated anymore. As of 2020, when we lost 2% rate.
Yeah.
That was a major blow. If we still had the
This is the first time I've seen one of the police
But it is
officers
still
actually
illegal
talking.
to be publicly drunk or no?
Depends upon the level of intoxication.
I see. I mean, he's talking. He's coherent a little bit.
We've actually talked to him. We've actually talked to him a couple times.
Nah, it's not.
It's not damaged.
To answer your question about what you said, is it like illegal to be drunk in public?
Right.
We used to have a system that was called Detox. This is, I don't know, like 5 or so years ago, where we used to be able to basically place a hold on somebody who was unable to care for themselves.
I see.
Since I have been a police officer in Portland, we have never arrested anybody for like being drunk in public per se. Usually that will fall on the lines of like, are you being disorderly? Are you being like violating the statute of disorderly conduct? Or do we need to get you to a hospital because you're like clearly unable to care for yourself?
Right.
But I know prior to me being a police officer, that used to be an arrestable offense. But now, so it's more like violation level. Like, hey, are you drinking in public? I can cite you for that. Which maybe I think happened here earlier tonight. Would be my understanding.
So I'm curious. There are a lot of legitimate protesters who are sharing their opinion. There's also a lot of drunk or like high or maybe mentally ill people. What do you think? What is that? Why?
I can't speak to that. I have no idea.
You don't know.
Like why people are drunk or high?
Why are they attracted down here?
I don't know. I think it's an attractive atmosphere, right? Like look at on a nightly basis how many people are attracted down here just to see what's going on, right?
Right.
I can't speak to why. Right?
Do you think that group is contributing to all the rest that's going on, or is it more legitimate people?
I have no idea.
You wouldn't be able to say, yeah.
That's not something for me to articulate.
Yeah,
no.
fair enough.
No. I mean, everybody has the right to go to the bar and have a beer and walk home and be a little intoxicated. Like, as long as you're not you're doing something criminal in nature,
right?
Like, that's totally fine.
Yes. So I've been out here, live streaming for a while, and most of the time people are crossing the street and jaywalking and drinking in public. Tonight it seems different. Was there a different directive from the chief? Did something change?
No idea. I wasn't here for that. I know that there was I think it was a citation that was issued for the drinking in public or having the alcohol in public, but I can't speak to it more than that.
Oh, so you're telling me that the mayor and the governor finally did something to actually stop
with the situation where
the attacks on ICE?
And I'm not speaking for the bureau. I'm speaking to you just because you asked a question. I'm answering to the best of my abilities. We don't want to create a flashpoint. So if there's a single individual right in the middle of a crowd who's drinking, like, is it
doing for the last 4 months?
Worth our ability to go in there and try to issue someone a citation because they have a beer? I think in a lot of situations, no, that's not the appropriate thing to do. A lot of times we can isolate that to that incident. Like you've seen it before, we make selective arrests. Like we'll announce over a loudspeaker, like, hey, we're taking police action, making targeted arrests.
Right.
We'll take that opportunity when people separate, right? Like it's safer to do so. I think that would make sense to you or anybody
that makes
you're
sense.
Showing this to.
So maybe tonight is just a consequence of the crowds not being here.
I can't speak to it. I know we've done stuff like that in the past. I can't speak to this specific instance. I have no idea. I'm saying strictly what I've taken part in over my whole police career is our presence, and people have varying opinions on that. Is our presence in this moment with what we want to do or the problem we want to solve going to make it better, or is it going to make it worse, right? And if the overwhelming consensus is, hey, this action, if we take it right now, barring life safety for somebody, right? If it's not going to make it better, we can always hold off and do it at a later time. That's what probable cause is, right? I have probable cause. It's not going to expire between today and tomorrow. Like I could see you tomorrow. It could be safe to make that arrest or safe to issue that citation. Like I can do that, right? And as police officers, we have that ability, discretion to do it in a safe way.
So what's going to happen tonight with this guy? Do you know?
I'm not involved in this. I just came over here to talk to you. because you looked like you wanted someone to talk
They
to.
were pointing at me, so let's see.
Oh, shit.
You were a witness, correct?
Sorry?
You were a witness of this incident?
Yeah, I was interviewing him and saw it happen, yeah.
Can I get your statement as a witness? Is that okay?
All right. Well, he's giving a statement. I don't think he's going to record that. Oh, no, he's recording it.
Yeah, I was interviewing him and saw it happen, yeah.
Can I get your statement as a witness? Is that okay?
Maybe. Oh, darn. He stopped the stream. And we can go back to Tommy if he's not cursing. Nope, this is Tommy. Okay, neither of them are live. All right. Well, I didn't really want to spend that much time on that since there's not really anything going on. I was more curious about what had happened to Tommy, having just discovered that they jumped him last night. Sorry, Steve, for the cussing. I don't really approve of the cursing, but I have been covering what's been going on in Portland. I think it's all relevant. I think that what we're watching is prophecy being fulfilled, both in the uprising and the conflict, as well as how Trump is handling it. So I'm not so sensitive that cursing offends me, but I do have my limits, which we ran those limits yesterday. When Tommy was out, he was just way too vulgar. It's language, in my opinion. It has a time and a place. I talked about that a little bit earlier on in the video about foul language. Has a time and a place, has a purpose. Sometimes it has profit. Sometimes it's overly used. It's one of the stronger parts of language and can be very offensive. So I don't know. Do you guys, did anybody watch the roundtable with Donald Trump? Do you guys want to watch a little bit of that? That could be interesting because it gives us some insight into what happens. Let's watch a little bit of that. See. Let me know if you guys watch this. I don't know how long I'm going to go tonight. Just kind of catching up. This could be interesting.
People from the Middle East, Arab people and other people on the potential peace deal for the Middle East. Peace for the Middle East, that's a beautiful phrase, and we hope it's going to come true, but it's very close. And they're doing very well. We have a great team over there, great negotiators, and they're unfortunately great negotiators on the other side also. But it's something I think that will happen, got a good chance of happening. I may go there sometime toward the end of the week, maybe on, and I'd like to also say that I watched Nick. Where's Nick? Is Nick here? Nick? Hi, Nick. That was a rough time you went through. I hope you got my little note. I wrote you a note.
Yeah, I really appreciated that. It helped a lot because it was a difficult situation. It was very stressful, and your note helped a lot. I truly appreciate it.
I thought it was terrible, actually. I thought it was terrible. So we'll talk about it a little bit. Under the last administration, the Department of Justice targeted faithful Catholics, Christians, and patriotic parents as domestic extremists. They said, oh, they're extreme because they believe in God. They're extreme because they go to Catholic church, or evangelicals, where everybody was under the gun. Unless you were a really bad, sick person, then they left you alone. Under the Trump administration, we're going after Antifa criminals, and all who fund and support their campaigns are in serious trouble. And we have a lot of records already, a lot of surprises, a lot of bad surprises. It's people that you would never think. I want to thank Attorney General Pam Bondi, who, by the way, yesterday was incredible in Congress. It was amazing, and she just did it from the heart and the brain, because she's very smart, in all fairness. But she did it from the heart, and she did an incredible. Everybody was talking about it. She exposed some of these fake senators, these terrible senators, people like Blumenthal that had a phony war record. For 20 years, he talked about what a hero he was, and it turned out he never went to Vietnam. For 20 years, he talked about being a hero in Vietnam. Then it was exposed when he said what platoon he was with, and it was exposed that somebody was watching from that particular platoon. They said he was never with us. And then he went out and he cried, and he was ready to drop out of the election. And disgraceful. And then he looks at people like Pam and he starts criticizing her, and she's a patriot. And they ought to do something with that. You know, we have a young congressman that's right now in jail for lying about where he went to college and other things. It was, you know, frankly not good. It was pretty bad. But it was nothing compared to Blumenthal. I mean, what Blumenthal did, he was for 20 years a hero, a great war hero. And then he sits back and, you know, sanctimonious kind of a guy, looks down, how dare you do this to the American public, you know? What a fake. But I thought Pam was incredible yesterday, as well as Secretary Kristi Noem, who's really out there courageously, and I appreciate it, Kristi, amazing what you're doing. FBI Director Kash Patel, who's really coming up with some great information, Kash. It's great. Keep it coming, because there's plenty of it. Deputy Attorney General, one of the best lawyers you'll ever find. Todd Blanche, who I know personally is a good
I'm going to skip through some of this to
lawyer,
kind of get to
because
this.
I'm here.
I want to get to what
Thank you very much, Todd. Good job.
Conversation about Portland.
With that, it's threatening the safety, and you saw what happened. He did all this, and they got away.
Director Patel, and we're going to have some of the people around the table, very courageous people, and they're going to be talking, journalists, almost all, and they're going to be talking, and we'll take some questions from the press at the end. Okay, Pam, please.
Thank you, President Trump. And as you made clear, Antifa is a domestic left-wing terrorist organization. We've seen them on video for years because they wanted to be seen and they got away with it. They beat journalists, they attack courthouses, they attack police stations, they dox and assault our law enforcement officers. The Biden administration let them commit these crimes with total impunity for years. So did Democrat leaders like Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson. Last week, independent journalist Nick Sorter was arrested just for protecting himself against Antifa. I saw it online and I called Nick. I couldn't believe what happened. He did all this just trying to save our American flag from being burned. He was pushed down and assaulted, yet the local police arrested Nick, not the Antifa thugs who did this to him. Antifa feels empowered to operate in the open because weak Democrats have turned a blind eye to their actions. Their hatred for President Trump and for law and order agendas fuels their violence. We've seen more than 1,000% increase in attacks against our ICE agents since January 20th. Secretary Noem is out there fighting for you firsthand to keep our federal officers safe, to keep our federal buildings safe, and we're not going to have it anymore, these thugs. We saw what's happening in Portland and Chicago, and you saw what happened in Dallas. No longer. This is not activism, it's anarchy. We can't and we will not let masked terrorists burn our buildings, attack our law enforcement, and intimidate our communities. Under your leadership, President Trump, we're deploying the full might of the federal law enforcement to crack down on Antifa and other domestic terrorist organizations led by Stephen Miller. And Stephen, thank you for everything you're doing. Last week, I issued a memo ordering our federal law enforcement agents, DEA, FBI, U.S. Marshals, and ATF to protect ICE officers from Antifa and other radical left-wing violence. Director Patel has been going non-stop. He and Deputy Attorney General Blanche were in Chicago yesterday, while Secretary Noem was in Portland. We are around this country fighting against this domestic terrorism. We had Apple and Google take down the ICE block apps. Hope they continue to comply with that. It's threatening the safety of our federal law enforcement officers. We're not going to stop at just arresting the violent criminals we can see in the streets. Fighting crime is more than just getting the bad guy off the streets. It's breaking down the organization brick by brick. Just like we did with cartels, we're going to take the same approach, President Trump, with Antifa. Destroy the entire organization from top to bottom. We're going to take them apart. Thanks to your bold leadership and the designation of Antifa as a terrorist organization, which is exactly what they are, Americans will no longer tolerate their unhinged violence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pam. Christine.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for hosting today and focusing on Antifa and the terrorists that they are. Let's not make any mistake. These individuals do not just want to threaten our law enforcement officers, threaten our journalists, and the citizens of this country. They want to kill them. Their agenda is to destroy the American people and our way of life, and this president is standing in their way. He is stopping them from bringing their death and their destruction to the individual citizens in this country that just want to raise their kids and their grandkids in peace and in safety. I want to also thank everyone around this table for being so bold and so brave, for standing up and recognizing the threat that Antifa is to our way of life. By recognizing how advanced they are, how sophisticated their networks are, how they've infiltrated our entire country, and we're seeing them play out with their tactics from city to city, and how they have built out their funding mechanisms. And sir, I also want to thank our Treasury Secretary for his work in getting to the bottom of these funding mechanisms and individuals who are perpetuating this violence on our American cities. I was in Portland yesterday and had the chance to visit with the governor of Oregon and also the mayor. They're in town, and they are absolutely covering up the terrorism that is hitting their streets. While you talked about some of the stories of our ICE agents, our Border Patrol agents, how they have been attacked, how they have been shot at, injured, the damage that they've done, these leaders in these local cities, along with Pritzker and Johnson, ignore what's going on, or, sir, they're helping Antifa cover it up. We have arrested dozens of individuals that are Antifa members or affiliated with them, and I want to thank our Attorney General for prosecuting them and making sure they never see the light of day again. They have been so bold in making sure we're bringing those individuals to justice. One of the individuals we arrested recently in Portland was the girlfriend of one of the founders of Antifa, and that we are hoping that as we go after her, interview her, and prosecute her, we will get more and more information about the network and how we can root them out and eliminate them from the existence of American society. I want to thank the new journalists here today for telling their stories and for being able and willing to go to the streets and to cover what's happening here in America. Many times the legacy media has looked the other way, refused to tell the stories. The networks have not really focused on what this is and what damage it is doing to our country, and how this network of Antifa is just as sophisticated as MS-13, as TDA, as ISIS, as Hezbollah, as Hamas, as all of them. They are just as dangerous. They have an agenda to destroy us, just like the other terrorists we've dealt with for many, many years. And today is the day that we have a president that won't tolerate it and will stand up and fight for the American people. So thank you for being here, for being so bold, and for standing in the gap at such a time as this. It will matter, it will make a difference, and your life will be one of significance because of what you've done today. So with that, God bless you, and thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Cash, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the American people gave you a sweeping mandate in your victory in this election cycle, and they demanded safety and security for our citizens. And your administration, with your leadership, has provided us with the resources that we need, which is a whole-of-government approach to go after criminals absolutely everywhere, not just outside of this country, but within this country. And that takes a whole-of-government approach. The interagency seated up here with the Department of Homeland Security, our Attorney General, our Deputy Attorney General, and your White House staffers, including Stephen Miller's leadership, has allowed us to go out there and map out these networks. What we are doing at the FBI is simple. It does not require rocket science. We are following the money. Money never lies. And that's what it's going to take to bring down this network of organized criminal thugs, gangbangers, and yes, domestic terrorists, because that's what they are. They are harming everyday citizens in every single one of our communities. And the folks you see here on the right and left, they're some of the bravest men and women we have today. They're reporting the stories live time because the mainstream media won't cover it. They're putting their lives on the line. They're standing up for the flag. The least we can do is stand up for them. So you have my thanks. I read more of your stories than I do theirs because you guys are putting out the truth. And we deserve a country where you are protected as equally as they are. We, in this FBI, will go after with the criminals with a vengeance. We will not rest until we find every single seed, money, donor, organization, and funding mechanism that we have. And I want to echo the Secretary's comments on Scott Bessent, who's allowing us to map out these networks through their financial criminal activities. which has been going on for decades. And I would like to remind the American public, they built this disease temple of corruption over decades. And in 8 short months, Mr. President, you have crippled their foundation because of your leadership here, because of the interagency, because of people like Deputy Attorney General Blanche, and because of Attorney General Pam Bondi's fearless leadership to go after criminals wherever they are. They will not be able to hide. They were able to hide and conspire with prior administrations, and we are exposing their corruption from within. And we will go to every single city in this country under Operation Summer Heat and the other operations we are doing at the FBI to bring these criminals to justice. We will arrest every single one of them from whatever perch you sit in, private or public, no matter how your goal or your ambition is. It will be crushed by the Constitution because the American people deserve law and order, and that's what we're going to give you.
Thank you very much, Cash. Great job. Maybe we'll start over here. Would any of you like to say something? Feel free. You can say it in front of a fine group of people, also journalists and reporters. You want to start?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. President Trump, members of the cabinet, really appreciate you guys bringing this together. And the fact that we are here today on such short notice shows how serious you guys are taking this issue of trans terrorists and frankly, the cities and police departments that are cooperating with Antifa, such as Portland. I mean, the Portland politicians are literally willing to sacrifice their own citizens just to appease these Antifa terrorists. It's sickening. I've seen it firsthand, obviously. When I went to jail that night, never expected it to happen. I thought that they were maybe removing me for my own safety. It never crossed my mind that I was the one that was being arrested for a crime after I was just thrown into a hole. I heard from the Department of Homeland Security after I had gotten out of jail, and one of your, I won't say exactly who it was, but somebody very close to Secretary Noem over here said that they were legitimately worried for my safety in the Portland jail. But luckily the Portland jail was, I was the only one there, essentially, because they don't actually arrest people in Portland, besides conservative journalists, I guess. So look, I'm glad that it was not a good night for me. Let's just say that. It was not fun sitting in that jail, but I'm glad to see what has come of it. And I've been able to talk to a bunch of FBI agents, ATF agents, DHS agents that I didn't even know existed until I went there and went to that ICE facility. And the morale is at an all-time high. It is so exciting to see these guys know now that they have the backing of the Secretary, the DOJ, as well as the President of the United States, and they are there to do their job. They are going to fulfill this mission and deport these violent criminals. I believe one of the ones that I did a ride-along with Secretary Noem yesterday, President Trump, and there was a pedophile that had come into the country 5 times over the past 7 years.
Wow.
7 years, and apparently under the Biden regime that was just allowed to happen. That was fine, no problem. It's concerning to me that you're seeing the Portland Police Department, as well as the governor of Oregon and the mayor, of course, coming out and running defense for pedophiles that have entered the country illegally 5 times. It's crazy. I'm glad it's taking a front row seat in the media. And, they're being forced to talk about it in reality because, we're the ones that were on the ground. We're the ones that are actually reporting what's going on. Much of the legacy media has been either ignoring it or covering for Antifa for years now. So thank you guys so much for taking this seriously. And President Trump, you mentioned that flag. So remember, you put out a truth right after
That's right. I saw that.
Oh, you
took
brought
this
it.
flag from that man that was burning it in the street.
I saw it. Do you know who he is?
Oh yeah, I know exactly who it is.
So why don't you give it to Pam? Give it to the Attorney General, and let's start prosecutions.
Yeah. I actually have a second flag that he tried to burn as well. So I have 2 of them from
Well,
the
you
same
also
guy.
saw what happened when that flag started burning. Everyone went crazy. And that's when it started, when they started burning the flag. So thank you. If you could give the information, it would be great.
Absolutely.
And at least that horrible night made you famous. You got
He was
something
already
I got a text from the President of the United States, so I appreciate that.
And President Trump, after that happened to Nick, I called Harmeet Dillon and we opened a pattern and practice investigation into the Portland police very publicly as
Wow.
to how they let this happen.
Wow.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President, Brandy Cruz, you're going to hear us be very fired up today, and you can tell, and it's because some of us have been covering Antifa for 15 years and have never had anyone in a position of authority even acknowledge their existence. And I'll also tell you that I think that had you not done, the single most powerful thing you've done to deal with this scourge has been acknowledging that Antifa is a real thing. I genuinely believe there would be people at these tables who would be dead today and would have been killed in Portland had you not called them a terror organization and said we're going to bring the full weight of the federal government to bear. I talked to Katie Daviscourt in Portland the other day. She'd been assaulted all summer. And she said the same thing, that it seems quick to violence as soon as you made that designation. So they're thinking in their heads, they're worried. There's been 24 or so arrested in Portland. They don't want to go to federal prison. There's this video of them, one of them who was in the face of an ICE agent, and then he's in custody shaking. Once you take the mask off, they're nothing. And I was told by probably a dozen people not to tell you this. I'm going to tell it to you anyway, because it's relevant to what we're talking about. I'm living proof that you can recover from TDS. I had strong Trump derangement syndrome for probably 8 years. This is one of the reasons I recovered from it. And by the way, it's much better to not have TDS.
Yeah,
I'm
it is.
happier, I'm healthier,
Yep.
more successful. I even think I got a little more attractive after I got rid of my Trump derangement syndrome. Yes. You know,
So there's a
I'm
cure.
a reporter in Seattle, and frankly, I could not care any less what any of you have to say about this meeting. Could not care any less. We're not here for
She's
you.
talking to
I'm
the
not here to convince any of
legacy
you
media.
that Antifa is a real thing. Because if you have not come to that conclusion by now, you are never going to come to that conclusion because you don't want to see it.
Yeah.
And you're going to go and you're going to say it's a bunch of right-wing conservative
Long time.
influencers who are here spinning a tale. I was one of you. I was a mainstream reporter in Seattle for 10 years. I was a TV reporter on the streets doing my job, and I was still assaulted by Antifa. So it's not about being conservative. It's about people who go there and show what they're doing. And when I saw, after all those years, that the media wouldn't be honest about what was happening, that Democratic politicians wouldn't be honest about what was happening, I thought, well, gosh, if they're not being honest about that, maybe they're not being honest about President Trump either. And it opened my mind to just looking at things for what they were. And now I find you quite funny, actually. Now like I said, I'm much happier about it. But
way funnier when
for
you
me,
don't hate
again,
him.
I could not care any less the stories that they go to print. This is what I care about. We have 3.5 years. Nothing is guaranteed, although I think if Democrats keep it up, we'll probably have Republican presidents for the next 3 decades. But nothing is guaranteed, and so what I want to see over the next 3.5 years is a full court press to dismantle Antifa once and for all in a meaningful way. I know, Andy, we talked before this about some ideas. That's really what we want to, I don't care what the media says, I don't care what Democrats say. They will never wake up to this fact. So we want the federal government to take as many of these cases as possible, look at the interstate travel between Portland and Seattle when it comes to these people who are committing violent acts, and hopefully in 3.5 years, they will be a shell of their
We'll have
former
it very
selves.
close to that, and it's Antifa and many others,
Yes.
unfortunately. There are many others, bad ones. Most have been named terrorist organizations. There are a couple that we're going to. But I think we've got it pretty well covered. But there are many others. But very specifically today, it's Antifa, and it's really bad. And we're going to get it cleaned up. Andy, do you have something? Thank you very much. I'm glad you no longer have TDS. I feel very good about that.
Fully recovered.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the Cabinet. I have a lot of gratitude and a little bit about my background. I'm born in Portland, Oregon, from there. And growing up, it's always been left-wing, very progressive. And I liked it. It had cafes and artists and those who lived a bohemian lifestyle.
I used to work down there.
And in 2016, I
2019.
was a graduate student at Portland State studying political science. I was an editor at the student paper there, a very progressive paper. And I was assigned to cover the election night demonstrations. Well, the elections night protests turned to riots, 3 days of violent rioting in Portland. And it was the first time that I saw groups dressed in black with their faces covered. This was 4 years before COVID. Some of them were waving the black flag of anarchism, some the red flag of Marxism. And within seconds, they would ravage one street to another, to another, to another. And the next day, I would read the legacy media, which I still read at that time and looked forward to, and I looked up to those journalists. And I was really shocked to see that the narrative was that these, in my view, anti-democratic political violence was legitimate acts of protest because people were concerned about racism or all these other lies. And so for the next 4 years, I just continued going out with my video camera. I thought, look, people can ignore what I write because of spin, but videos can quite speak for themselves. And in 2019, it led to me nearly losing my life. I was covering another Antifa protest turned riot. At that point had been routine in Portland. And then I was ambushed in a mob beating. And I had never been in a fight. I didn't even realize that I was being assaulted until seconds in. And the punches came from everywhere on my head and my face, and I was bleeding out of my eyes and ears. And then they threw all the drinks in my eyes to humiliate me further and to laugh at me. And I was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance and CT scan, and I had subarachnoid hemorrhage, which is bleeding in the brain. I nearly died. And after surviving that, the reporting that I saw in liberal media it seemed to suggest that I had deserved it because they branded me far right. And some even went so far as to suggest that I maybe faked my injuries. A BuzzFeed reporter asked for my medical records, which I did provide, but this felt so, it's like because I didn't die in that attack, there was another round of people who wanted to finish me off. But I continued, and then 2020, Portland was really the epicenter of the longest political violence. Those months of riots, I was on the ground, undercover, and there was an assassination there. There was a supporter of Donald Trump named Aaron Danielson who was shot dead by a self-described Antifa member who then fled out of state and died in a shootout with US Marshals. In 2021, I returned undercover, naively thinking that enough time had passed, and was chased through the streets of downtown and beaten, nearly choked out. The person who was trying to choke me out held me so tightly that I had the blood, the vessels in my eyes burst. So one of the symptoms were my eyes were completely red after that, and I was hospitalized. So thank you so much for acknowledging Antifa and for directing your administration to treat them as domestic terrorists. It's going to be really challenging because how they organize is that they are decentralized, autonomous, and they operate on deception. And we're still to this day told that they don't exist, that it's a figment of our imagination. I think the DOJ could look at federal conspiracy charges. The state of California and San Diego County last year broke up an Antifa cell in San Diego. And I think maybe perhaps the State Department should designate Antifa, its international arm, as a foreign terrorist organization, FTO. So thank you so much for this invitation, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Andy. Great. That's a rough time you had, huh? So the chokeout was almost the end, you felt?
Yeah, that was my only near-death experience in my life, and I'm quite shaken when I think about it now. It really feels unbelievable to me that on the streets of America that this type of violence against citizens could become so routine and accepted and cheered on by people. Although, in the immediate aftermath of Mr. Kirk's assassination, we saw again that type of depravity play out on quite large swaths of the left. So there's a deep sickness that's in this country right now, and it pains me a lot to acknowledge it.
Yeah, the amazing thing is you look at Portland, and you see fires all over the place. You see fights and, just violence. It's just so crazy. And then you talk to the governor, and she acts like everything is totally normal. There's nothing wrong. It's almost like, are you waking up from a dream or something? You see it on your network. You see it all over the place. And it's so bad. It's so crazy. It's like the movies you see for the kids. I guess not only the kids, adults also, where you have these bombed out cities and these bombed out people. It's like worse than that. I don't think they could make a movie as bad. And then the governor will get up and say, I don't know why they're coming here, It's such a wonderful place. And the amazing thing is the people want us to be there. The people, when they get the real people
Cognitive bias.
that live there, many of
They're
them
so
have left.
used to it, they don't even
But
see it.
the real people want us to be. The same thing in Chicago. So they've had 60, 70 murders over a short period of time. Murders, people that got shot. They've had hundreds of people shot. And then a guy like Pritzker, or this low IQ mayor, gets up. I mean, he got up, he's got a 5% approval rating. And the people are all against him. They want people to come. Beautiful black women are wearing a MAGA hat last night on television. Beautiful people. And they said, we don't care who comes, just stop the crime. They don't care, frankly.
So what he's talking about with Chicago, I thought this just came in about 50 minutes ago. This is Chicago right now. This is an anti-police protest taken to the streets. This is reported by Nick Sorter, who is currently sitting with the president in the video we were watching. But yeah, the mayor refuses to do anything about Antifa. A lot of these people are Antifa. Pritzker, the mayors and the governors in these areas, they're refusing to take care of the problem.
They don't care if it's National Guard, military, send in anybody you want, stop the crime. And they're afraid to go out. They can't even go out. And then a guy like Pritzker, think of that, 50, 60, 70 people over a short period of time murdered, actually murdered, mostly gun violence, but knives, but gun violence, they're murdered, and hundreds of people shot. They had one weekend where they had like 18 murdered and 71 shot. Wow. But they said, you know what their excuse is? Yeah, but it was a long weekend. In other words, it was a long weekend, so that was okay.
God.
And then Pritzker gets up and he says, like, I don't know what they're talking about. We don't have crime here. They're crazy.
Wow.
I think actually they're petrified. You know, their families live there.
Total
Everything else.
denial.
I actually think they're scared. Pritzker was a failure in his family. They threw him out of the family business. Guy's a loser. But you know what? I believe they're scared. They're actually frightened for their lives. Jack, please say a few words.
Mr. President, thank you so much for having us here today and holding this roundtable. Antifa is real. Antifa has been around in various iterations for almost 100 years in some instances, going back to the Weimar Republic in Germany. And it's now been just under 1 month since we saw a far leftist murder Charlie Kirk, and we saw thousands upon thousands of people, other far leftists and people in positions of authority, people like nurses and pilots and doctors and HR departments, celebrating the death and the murder of Charlie Kirk. This sickness that's out there is absolutely real. And Mr. President, thank you for mentioning the fact that one of the bullet casings read, "Hey fascist, catch" on it. One of the other bullet casings right next to that had Bella Ciao written on it. Now, Bella Ciao is a song that is known in Antifa circles as the international anthem of Antifa. And all of us around this room that have studied Antifa, we're very familiar with these symbols. And Mr. President, I think the situation is getting worse. When you look at people like Luigi Maggioni, in his 20s, Thomas Matthew Crooks, of course, who took a shot at you, sir, the ICE shooter in Dallas, and now this Tyler Robinson, we're starting to see a pattern of more and more murderous violence. Mm-hmm. And this same violence is not just random. It is targeted assassinations, which are getting worse. And every single one of us in this room that goes out there, and obviously you as well, sir, and all the staff, we are now under that threat every single day. And working there at Turning Point USA, and I've spent just about the last month out there in Phoenix with Erica, with the family, with the team. And I will tell you this, Mr. President, even though going through something like that, which is an absolute nightmare, and people say, you know, what was it like to speak in front of all those people? It was horrible. Every second of it was horrible. But we're not going to quit. And Turning Point USA is continuing the tour that Charlie was on. We had 6,000 people when we went back to Utah. We had 5,000 people last night in Montana, if you can believe that. We are continuing to organize on campus. We are getting more and more people coming out in the face of this threat, knowing what happened to Charlie. But Mr. President, we need to do something about this, because I fear that the next one who could be killed could be sitting at this table right now. And we're not going to stop, but they need to stop, and they will not stop until they are stopped. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate it very much. One thing I have to say is that Washington, D.C. was almost as bad. I don't know what could be worse than Portland. You don't even have stores anymore. They don't even put glass up. They put plywood on their windows. But most of the retailers have left. But
that's true.
Washington,
all my
D.C.
favorite
was
restaurants
so
are gone.
bad.
It's a couple
And
of
Pam,
them in
I'd say it
different parts of
took
Portland.
12 days to really make it pretty good, and a month to make it great. And now people are going out to dinner. The restaurants are booming. They don't have enough seats. They're opening up new restaurants because many of them closed. And people are walking down the street totally safe. A reporter, I'm not sure if she's there. I can't see somebody reported there. She is. She was violently assaulted. And I don't know, she tends to be somewhat liberal, but she wasn't liberal on this
Katie.
one.
Katie's
I
sitting there
appreciated
to
your
your
honesty.
left.
But that won't happen again. It won't happen again. You're lucky you're alive, frankly, with what happened. I know exactly what took place. So Washington, D.C., our capital, we thought we'd start there appropriately, and it's safe, and people are so happy. They're so happy. And now it's a couple of months. I went to dinner there. I felt totally safe. I gave a press conference right in the middle of the street, which I don't think Secret Service was thrilled about. But, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have wanted to do it 6 months ago. It's incredible what happened. Now we're in Memphis. As you know, we're having a great impact in Memphis. It's been only a week, but it's, Cash, I hear it's been amazing what's happening there just very early. But you take a look at D.C. and you take a look at some of the other. We've had a big impact.
No, I don't
what
think
we
Trump
haven't
is the
said, because Pritzker said,
restrainer.
well, crime is going down in Chicago. Well,
I hadn't thought of
5
that,
months
but
ago, Cash
my
went to
initial
Chicago with a lot of
reaction is no.
FBI agents just to prepare it, so that we went in with, I guess you could call it a surge, call it whatever you want, but would be even more effective. And we're going to be doing that, and very, very strongly doing that, because Chicago is a very unsafe city. It's a great city. The head of the Union Pacific Railroad said, "Sir, please save Chicago. It's a great city. It can be saved." Other cities are gone. I mean, they're lost. They can get better, but they're just really, they've been so decimated. But I'm so proud of what they've done so quickly in D.C., and it's taking place quickly in Memphis, where we were asked to go by the mayor and by the governor. And it's really incredible what we can do and how fast we can do it. Let's go for two more. Would you like to go? And then Katie, you'll go. Okay, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President, for having us here. And not to sound like a broken record, but it needs to be said that Antifa is real. Yeah. It's real. It's a threat. I just saw them last weekend over in Portland while they're causing mayhem over there. And the reason why they're such a big problem is because we have Democrats and a lot of people in the mainstream media refusing to acknowledge that they even exist, right? So how can we as a country begin to address it if we have large swaths of these people who are supposedly decision makers and people who are supposed to inform, they don't want to say that it exists. Because the common argument is like, well, they're not a real organization because there's no national leadership, they don't have a national headquarters, so how can law enforcement go after a group that doesn't exist like that? Well, law enforcement goes after criminal groups that organize to rob banks or do smash and grabs. They don't have a registered LLC, they don't have official membership cards, they don't have a business address, but law enforcement still goes after them because they're working as a group. These people don't just show up, randomly at the same time to do the same thing, dressed in a very similar fashion, espousing the same ideology. And they say, well, it's an ideology. It's like, well, yes, it's an ideology because there's people alive, present, that believe in it, and they're acting on it. And so I've been very well aware of what Antifa's been doing. I was very busy during the riots in 2020. That was probably my most exposure to them prior to this year. I've been at the ICE facility at Broadview. I'm originally from the Chicagoland area, unfortunately, but that's where I grew up around. Like I said, I was in Portland. I was covering the riots in Los Angeles as well. And probably one of the most disturbing parts about that is, in addition to Antifa being present, they were tagging the streets with CJNG, which is Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, which is a cartel. So you have these people who are working basically in concert with other terrorist groups to say that we're here, we're present, and we're gonna attack federal agents and people who are going to expose what we do. And so, to be clear, political violence, sustained political violence that we're seeing in this country is not a both sides issue. I was, I was at Charlie Kirk's memorial in Glendale recently. Conservative gathering, totally peaceful. It was the most peaceful gathering that I've been at. Every other time that I've been covering violence in the streets, just this year, just this year, it's always been from left-wing people, radical left-wing people. And it's not even just Antifa anymore. The shooting that happened in, the defensive shooting that happened in the Chicago area, that wasn't someone dressed in black bloc. That was just somebody that had taken upon themselves to go out and try to interfere and ram federal vehicles. So people are becoming more and more radicalized, and it was to be expected, unfortunately. And the reason why we're in this position today is because after I was done covering the riots, I was at the border from the San Diego sector all the way down to the Rio Grande Valley sector, covering the border crisis month after month. And we all knew the solution to that. We all knew why it was happening. It's because, well, it's racist to have a border. It's like, well, actually, it's not, but okay. And so it required you to come back into office and to fix the problem, but it's no longer just a border issue. It's a nationwide issue, and that's one of the reasons why you got elected back into office, because thankfully the American people said we're not going to deal with it anymore. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people, as we've seen, who are willing to take to the streets to do violence. And that's a scary thing, because typically when I was in 2020, I was covering Minneapolis, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle. I was over in Chaz, and that was to be expected. But now, because the issue of immigration, illegal immigration, is so widespread, riots can happen anywhere. Attacks can happen anywhere. So that's why it was weird kind of going back to my home state to cover this violence. I mean, just after the Dallas shooting, they were chanting outside Broadview, shoot ICE, shoot those efforts, shoot those efforts. So I'll just leave that. Thank you so much again for having this. This is very dangerous. We don't work for companies that have billions of dollars. We're running and gunning often on our own. We became friends. A lot of us are friends because we would see each other all the time, and we became friends because we wanted to have someone watch our back while we're out there. Because like I said, we're just out there. And but we'll continue to do it because it's an important topic. It's an important issue. The American people deserve to know what's happening in these chaotic situations, and we're more than happy to do it. So thank you, sir.
Great job. Thank you very much. Katie, please.
Hi, Mr. President. It is an honor being here today, and I first wanted to start by thanking you guys for designating Antifa a terrorist group. It's exactly what this group is. It's a long time coming. I'm an investigative journalist from Seattle. I work for the Post-Millennial alongside Annie No
She has a black
and
eye
Jack
now.
Kosovic. I have been infiltrating Antifa cells in Seattle and Portland for the past decade. I know their inner workings, and Antifa uses extreme political violence to crush the civil rights of their political enemies and believes that violence is justified by any means necessary. But today, I want to focus on what is happening in Portland at the ICE facility. I've been covering this for the past 4 months, and this is a call out to corporate media who has completely ignored this story or has falsely reported on it. This is nothing short other than a sustained attack on the United States, which is being supported by Democratic elected officials. The Portland Police Bureau has completely abandoned several blocks outside the ICE facility, giving away their jurisdiction to a terrorist group who has spent the past 4 months harassing, assaulting, and intimidating anyone they perceive to be against their cause. Not only have federal agents been relentlessly assaulted for more than 100 consecutive days, black-clad anarchist militants concealing their identities behind black facial coverings have been assaulting reporters just for trying to cover their crimes. Today, I am sitting here with a black eye and a concussion after being violently hit in the face with a metal pole while reporting outside the ICE facility just this past week. After the attack, I immediately went to three Portland police officers who refused to detain the suspect. I took the time to chase down the suspect in the streets, had her held for 35 minutes. I was waiting for Portland police to come, and they never came. Then that's what opened my eyes to what this group is actually doing. I watched 20 Antifa militants help my assault suspect escape into an Antifa safe house that is 1 block away from the ICE facility. And this safe house is where Antifa-affiliated protesters are conducting paramilitary operations. It's where they're arresting, they're showering, they're eating to continue this occupation. I have staked out this safe house and have observed shift changes. This group is highly organized. It is being funded through mutual aid groups, and they have no plans of stopping. Residents living across the ICE facility have been held hostage by Antifa. They're begging for federal intervention. The city refuses to help, and they want you, President Trump, to come in and restore law and order. I want to stress the importance of taking this situation seriously, because when I first started reporting on this occupation, I went undercover in Black Bloc. I talked to these Antifa militants. I lasted for about a month. They believe that ICE agents are the Nazi Gestapo who need to be killed. They told me that directly, and I think that if this situation is not taken as seriously as it is, it's just a matter of time before someone gets killed. And thank you for having me.
Thank you, Katie. That's pretty incredible. The only question nobody can answer is why. Why are they doing this? They're like insurrectionists. They're terrible people. But you really wonder why. Why are they doing it? What are they gaining other than they're obviously paid? They're paid a lot of money. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, if I can answer that question, the reason why they're doing it is because the same media that's sitting in this room with us has declared all of us at this table Nazis and fascists. And they've been doing this for years. This is why Antifa feels emboldened to attack us. Now, almost every single person at this table has been threatened with a steel bat. We've been assaulted, we've been harassed, we've been threatened, and that is in huge part due to the media. So my message right now is for you guys, because 2 years ago, back in 2020, by the way, I was censored for my reporting on Antifa here in Washington, D.C. You were talking about how safe it is now, Mr. President. It wasn't so safe back then. Back in 2020, I watched as a father was being mobbed and surrounded by Antifa members as his terrified, crying children looked on and the police here did nothing. I watched as a woman had her hair violently ripped out of her skull simply for waving an American flag on the streets of Washington, D.C. And by the way, if you guys try to go and find any of this footage, you won't find any of it because Twitter deleted all of it because our president shared my reporting and they deleted my entire account immediately after. So now, if you want to know what happened in 2020, all you're going to see is the media headlines that said that it was fiery but mostly peaceful. Thanks for that one, CNN. The reality is that it was an extremely violent period of time, and for the last 10 years, Antifa has been wreaking havoc on law-abiding and innocent American citizens, and it needs to end. Now, I'm with Turning Point USA. It's an honor to be here, Mr. President. Thank you guys so much, everybody in the administration, for giving us a seat at the table, because the media has not only been demonizing us for so long, but immediately after the brutal assassination of our founder, Charlie Kirk, our Turning Point USA chapters have seen an uptick in violence across the nation as Antifa chapters that are embedded in our universities go and target them. It's been extremely difficult to report on the ground, and for a long time I was afraid to go to Portland because I knew that the only people who would have my back, like Julio said, were one of my friends on the ground because there is no police force there. I was terrified to go because I knew if I got shot or stabbed, and I have been assaulted, I've been mobbed and robbed in Austin, Texas by Antifa, that nobody would come to help me. So my plea to the entire administration, especially to the DOJ, is every single radical left-winger who is in front of the ICE facility in Chicago, in New York, in Portland, please make sure that you use the full force of the law to come after each and every single one of them, because it is us being soft on left-wing violence that has fomented all of the terror that we have seen in this country, and it is the left wing getting away time and time again with assaulting law-abiding American citizens that has led us to this place. So truly, to the Americans that I speak to on the ground, they feel completely abandoned by their state and local government. So please step in. We have Americans begging for the National Guard, and to the media over here, please report on the truth. Please do your jobs. I'm an American citizen. Everybody at this table simply views ourselves as American citizens who have an iPhone and the will to actually tell the truth. So please take your job seriously and tell the truth to the American people. And thank you for letting me be here on behalf of Charlie to continue his legacy of cleaning up the country. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Wow, you feel very strongly, I can see.
I'm mad. I got beat up so many times, Mr. President. My friends have gotten beaten up, and I want to cry right now from happiness because we have been completely ignored for so long. For almost 10 years, we've been getting assaulted on the streets. I have watched children cry as their parents have been attacked on the streets. That should not be happening at our nation's capital. So please, again, the DOJ, please utilize the full force and go after each and every single one of these people.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Great job. Impassioned. That's important because you should feel like that. Please, go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you for having us here and bringing together this panel of brave journalists, everybody on this side of the room. And no one can speak to the violence better than these people here. So I think we know that this is not just a story about violence and chaos, as you alluded to, Mr. President. This is a money story. And at the Government Accountability Institute, my colleague and I, Peter Schweitzer and our team, we followed the money, and we followed it to the top of what we call the protest industrial complex, Riot Inc. And we found a network of NGOs. It's not just the Soros network, the Open Society network, it's other funding networks, the Arabella funding network, the Tides funding network, Neville Roy Singham and his network, Foreign Cash. And it's also big left-wing funders. Some of them are not citizens of this country. Mr. Hans-Jörg Wyss of Switzerland. They're pouring money into this entire ecosystem. And so I want to share 3 money facts with you about what we call Riot Inc. Number one, like any corporation, Riot Inc. has many divisions. It doesn't just have the Antifa boots on the ground division. It has PR divisions. It has marketing divisions. It has a very well-funded legal division to get these boots on the ground back on the streets as quickly as possible. But it does have those investors that I mentioned. Number 2, we have identified dozens of radical organizations, not just the decentralized Antifa organizations, but dozens of radical organizations that have received more than $100 million from the Riot Inc. investors. These would be the lawyer groups. These would be the groups that advocate for calling good, honest Americans fascists, et cetera. And then 3, I think the most shocking thing is that we have found that more than $100 million in U.S. taxpayer funding has flowed into these funding networks, including at least $4 million to these very groups themselves, not just Antifa types, but there was an event in Atlanta called Stop Cop City. Over 60 rioters were charged with domestic terrorism. These groups received money for that from both the billionaire class as well as taxpayer money. So one other thing, this money helps fund the decentralized crowdfunding platforms. These are ways that Antifa, the John Brown Gun Club of Elm Fork, which had links to that attack on the ICE facility, the Socialist Rifle Association, and just because they don't have LLCs or EIN numbers doesn't mean they can't get paid. Some of these funding platforms, crowdfunding platforms, are funded by this network that we call Riot Inc. So again, I want to thank you for your leadership, for the whole cabinet's leadership on this. We're going to keep following the money and appreciate everything you're doing, sir.
Do you know the name of any of the funders? Do you know the names? Because if you do, I'd like you to give them to Cash or Pam.
Absolutely.
Or Christy.
Yeah, we'll do that.
As soon as you can. That's all of you. Because you probably know the names after a certain period of time. You tend to find out. But these are people that do not have good intention for the country, and that's treasonous probably. So if you could, very important, if you could do that, it would be great. Nobody would know better than you. You'll figure it out. Thank you. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, my name's Nick Shirley. I'm 23 years old. I'm a 100% independent YouTube journalist. And over the past year or so, I've been able to go to 15 countries. I've hung out with people in the gangs of Brazil, in the favelas, in the prisons of Secot. But yet the most dangerous places I have been here in the United States, unfortunately. And I've had the opportunity to show people about the protest Antifa here in the United States, and there's nothing organic about what they are doing here in the United States. I've watched people be bussed in from states. I've watched the same lady at a protest in Atlanta be bused to the protest in DC and then in New York City. There's nothing that is honest about what they are doing. And they have signs. I've seen the same signs here in DC and in London as well. It's a big organization and corporation that they're running. And people may wonder, like, what's the threat to us as Americans if we go? Well, you'll be labeled as a fascist, you'll be labeled as a Nazi, and they'll wish death upon you because they wish death upon me. And just last week in Portland, Oregon, I watched a lady get trapped in her car, surrounded by Antifa, and her sister messaged me after seeing the video. She said, the only reason I think my sister was safe is because you were there recording. I also was chased out by a member of Antifa who said he would smoke me.
Yep.
And next thing he knew, a DHS sniper had lasers on his chest. If he was not there, who knows what would have happened that day. These people are very dangerous, and people wonder how they're able to do it. It's the reason is because these cities are not enforcing the law. And why should these people be worried if the law is not being enforced? And we are not far right, nor are we far wrong. We're just right. And the truth about what's happening here in America with these groups is very dangerous. And I thank you, Mr. President, and your administration as well for acknowledging that.
Thank you very much. It's too bad you have to go through it.
I know,
Thank
it's a little
you very
crazy,
much.
right, Mr. President?
Well, you're going to get to the bottom of it, so it's a very important thing you're doing. Thank you very much. Please, Kim.
Yeah, I've just got something very short. I'm attacked every time I do my job. When I leave my house to go to work, I am violently assaulted. I've had guns pulled on me. I've been bear sprayed. I've been beaten down. I've been almost killed. So my question for all of you is, how would you feel if every time you showed up to work, masked militants tried to kill you? Because that's how we feel. That's our lived reality. And you guys go and tell us that we're liars, the riots aren't that bad, right? I've never seen any of you guys on the ground. In fact, I've never seen anybody representing the companies you work for on the ground. You guys come to us for interviews that never get published. Stop saying we're lying. We're not. We risk our lives every day to do the job that you guys are too afraid to do.
What network would you say is the worst, if I could ask?
Oh, man. Yes,
I mean, honestly, it's a simple question.
Well, there's a lot of people in this pool, and I would say I'm not talking about Fox. I'm not talking about Newsmax or any outlet that resembles them, so I'll let you guys put the pieces together on who I'm exactly talking about.
Who would you say? Which network would you say?
MSNBC, for sure.
Oh, they're terrible. I agree. They're
CNN,
terrible.
probably close, yeah.
Yeah, I'd rate it that way, yeah. MSNBC, that's Brian Roberts.
Yeah.
That he allows that to happen is a disgrace.
Absolutely.
And CNN is second.
Yeah,
I would say CNN is not quite as bad as MS.
MSNBC is not
What
really a
about
news
others?
site anymore.
Oh, MSNBC is sick.
Yeah.
They're sick.
Well, sir, it's
who
also
else?
just the stories that they publish about what's the ICE enforcement operations that are so heavily slanted that it's no longer, as I was saying, no longer just Antifa, but Americans that are becoming radicalized. So they've been very irresponsible with how they've been reporting
Who
on
is
it.
that?
MSNBC, for example, they're
Would you rate them the worst?
probably.
And who
ran
would
a
you
story.
rate second?
Well, they ran a story about an operation in Southern California about how a father of 3 Marines was arrested, and they made it seem like they just did it because he's brown. But there's video of that same man charging at the agents with a weed whacker. Now, I've worked with weed whackers back in the day, and you don't want to be on the receiving end of one of those. So that's why he was arrested, but the story was presented as if it's a brown guy just simply being arrested. And I've been around ICE agents, and I'm a citizen, so I feel fine. But it's just that's why. It's not just Antifa. It's not happening in a vacuum. It's multiple
working in
factors.
conjunction. I think they work in conjunction with some of the media. I think ABC is very bad. I think NBC is very bad. And CBS has a new owner, so we have hope for CBS. CBS has a great new owner, my opinion. But I will tell you, ABC is terrible. NBC is terrible. NBC's MSNBC too. They changed it. They moved it over legally so they couldn't be tainted by the words MSNBC, but they are absolutely terrible. There are a lot of them. What about independents? Independent networks.
They're a little bit better, but I would say that we're an example of how you don't need to be part of a super large company to be able to do just basic journalism. All you got to do is sit and record, and you'll let the story play out. And that's why they hate us. That's why Antifa targets us.
Well, I watched a level of dishonesty that's incredible, where answers are changed. Like just before the election, an answer was changed by Kamala. She gave a horrible, death-defying, election-defying answer. And they took the answer out and they replaced it with another answer that she gave 5 minutes later, having to do with a different subject, but at least it wasn't election-defying. No, the level of dishonesty with the media is incredible, whether it's on...
I find it funny, Senti, that you can make a comment that Trump does not care about you when he's literally doing a roundtable with citizen journalists. These are people who are pretty much independent that have been on the ground, literally recording video of the real shit that's going down. And he's inquiring from them as an empath does, somebody who does care, who wants to know the truth, wants to know details. The Bible says in the mouth of two or three witnesses, a matter is established. He's got more than two or three witnesses in there. What you're saying, the stuff that you've been saying most of the night, Senti, is full of shit. You're so blind. You can't see the fog that's in front of your face. You've got so much crap surrounding you that you have the nerve to actually tell us that Trump doesn't care when we're literally watching him show how much he cares. Dude, you need to open up your eyes and get out of the bullshit that you're sitting in. You're so full of crap. You have no idea what you're talking about. You are sitting here you have Trump derangement syndrome, obviously. Whatever you have going on in your mind, dude, you need to confront. You are clearly under some kind of demonic influence. I don't know what's going on with you, man, but it is as plain as the nose on your face that Trump cares about people, because he's literally sitting here asking questions about what's really going on. That is somebody who cares. You sitting here, you're just showing how much you hate people, dude.
Antifa or many of the other groups. You know, you're talking about Antifa, and I know that's close to your heart because that's the one that's most affecting you. But there are others that are as bad or almost as bad as Antifa, having to do with different people, different sections of the world. But it's terrible. We're not going to let it go on in this country. We're not going to let it go on. And a big problem is not all of them, but some of the networks out there. And you do wonder why. You really do. Okay, please. Go ahead, yeah.
Mr. President, thank you again.
Thank you.
My name is Jonathan Cho. I am an investigative reporter for Frontlines Turning Point USA. I'm also a senior fellow at Discovery Institute in Seattle. And I cover far-left extremism as well as the homeless drug crisis in America. And I find it oftentimes those worlds
Senti, I'm going to pray for you, man.
And hot off the presses, what I wanted to bring to your attention today is a report from a Capital Research Center here in D.C. in conjunction with Discovery Institute. They just put out this study right now. And what it shows is that Antifa is heavily embedded in the homeless and housing nonprofit sector. In many cases, the homeless industrial complex is running cover for Antifa. Antifa is benefiting from American tax dollars, and they're essentially being used as the muscle. Let me give you an example. There's a group called Stop the Sweep.
Yeah, I want to actually hear what he has to say, but I want to address what you're talking about, Senti. Yeah, Senti, this is called Two Witnesses Live because Donald Trump is one of the two witnesses from the scripture. He has so many of the bloody attributes, it's almost beyond question. The one I question is Elon Musk, but that's the point of this channel is we look at what Donald Trump and Elon Musk are saying because it's very likely that they are the two witnesses prophesied about in the Old Testament. I'm an observant person. You might think I have religious psychosis, but to me, you know, people who are trying to kill him, they haven't been able to kill him. He flames people with his words, shooting flames from his mouth. He has control. They have been giving him so much power to stop the crap that's going on in the world today. There's a lot of things. I think what we're seeing is the revealing of prophecy. You can call it religious psychosis if you like, but I'd rather be like this than be like you. I mean, you're making the claim that he doesn't care about anybody while he's literally asking questions and inquiring of information because he cares about people. I don't think I'm the one who's blind, dude. I think you might be. I'm gonna go back a little bit because I want to hear what this guy has to say.
Oftentimes, those worlds intersect. And hot off the presses, what I wanted to bring to your attention today is a report from a Capital Research Center here in D.C. in conjunction with Discovery Institute. They just put out this study right now. And what it shows is that Antifa is heavily embedded in the homeless and housing nonprofit sector. In many cases, the homeless industrial complex is running cover for Antifa. Antifa is benefiting from American tax dollars, and they're essentially being used as the muscle. Let me give you an example. There's a group called Stop the Sweeps in many U.S. cities right now. They get in front of encampment sweeps. What they're doing quietly is they're bringing in Antifa militants to manufacture a crisis to make the police look bad. Another group right now that is behind Antifa and working with Antifa very closely, based on the research that we have right now that we're going to give to you and your team, are the Democratic Socialists of America, also known as DSA. Again, these far-left progressive groups tend to be aligning themselves with Antifa. So finally, in closing, what I wanted to thank you again, Mr. President, is that a few months ago, earlier this year, you put out an executive order on homelessness and the drug addiction crisis in America, and that's sent the entire homeless industrial complex on the run. You have absolutely moved the needle and changed the game. But what's also come out, again, is that there is a connection, a deeply embedded connection with the homeless housing nonprofit game in America, connected to Antifa and the far-left activists. And finally, I just wanted to say that all of our resources at Turning Point USA and Discovery Institute are at your disposal, and we will continue again to carry on the legacy of Charlie Kirk. He would have wanted us to pursue and chase the story.
Well, he was a good friend of mine, as you know, and he helped us get elected. Us, it really is us. It's even some of them, but not too many of them, not enough of them. And did you notice when we mentioned CNN and
Yeah, you're not breaking up any echo chamber here, Senti, if you think that's what you're doing. We allow you to speak because we care about people. And even if you have Trump derangement syndrome, I'll allow you to talk. I'll allow you to have Trump derangement syndrome as long as you're kind and respectful. If you start getting belligerent and spamming the channel and make it so nobody can read or participate, you'll be out of here. But, this is, look, I grew up in a cult. I understand what it means to be lied to and deceived. I understand what it means for people to lose their faith because of the crap that goes on in religious circles. A lot of churches, a lot of religion is started because of finances, because of the tax benefits, and because men want to be in charge. They want to be seen as God, religious narcissists. I've been through that. A lot of us here have been through that. And a lot of us are here because we've gotten over that. We've grown up. We've realized that just because people claim that they stand for God or that they're working on God's behalf doesn't necessarily mean it's true. As far as the two witnesses, it's written in the Bible. I believe the Bible, and I see this stuff coming to pass. I think you don't see it because you don't believe in God. Unfortunately, I'm still in a cult. Yeah, well, I know what it's like to be in a cult. You're not allowed to question. I question everything. And I understand that, my opinion isn't popular. I don't expect this channel to grow to anything huge. Maybe in 1,260 days, if I happen to be right about, Donald Trump and Elon Musk being the two witnesses, and if I happen to start counting at the right time, maybe people will pay attention. I'm an observer, man. I mean, that's the whole point of this channel, is based on the data that has happened since September 23rd, 2017. We've been observing and paying attention to the data and watching prophecies be fulfilled. I'm not a prophet. I'm nobody special. I'm literally just somebody paying attention. I believe in God. I believe that he inspired prophets in what was written in the Bible. I also believe there's a bunch of corruption in there and a lot of things messed up, and a lot of people impose their beliefs and their religious beliefs on things and on people, and they want to control you just like you want to control the conversation. If anybody's in a cult, it's more like you. You've got Trump derangement syndrome. You're in here trying to sour us against Donald Trump, trying to tell us that he doesn't care about anybody when he's literally illustrating empathetic attributes. He's listening. He's asking questions. He actually cares. Yeah. So, I mean, you're welcome to be here. You're welcome to try and break up the echo chamber as long as you're kind and respectful, dude.
MSDNC, the cameras went off. Two of the cameras immediately went off, but they're not going to cover it anyway. The problem we have is that this is a very important meeting, but you'll see very little press about it.
Moses and Elijah killed
major
people.
Statements being made by major people. and including the people right here, and you're not going to see too much about it. They don't like to cover this kind of thing. So it's very dishonest what's going on there. I think the press is a big factor. Please, go ahead. Thank you, James.
Mr. President, thank you so much for having us all here to bring attention to this matter. You did mention MSDNC, CNN, a handful of those other outlets that have been lying about, various things, but especially what ICE, the brave men and women over at ICE have been doing. I was talking to Antifa members in Portland the other day, and a lot of these people genuinely believe, they buy these lies, and they genuinely believe that they're fighting against literal Nazis and not brave men and women that are putting their lives on the line to basically, enforce basic immigration law, right? That everyone seemed to agree with up until maybe a few years ago, a handful of years ago. So once again, thank you so much for having me. My name is James Klug. While my primary job is traveling around the country, having conversations with Americans about various political topics and issues, I have had a lot of run-ins with Antifa over the last 5 years. And I do think that Antifa is a primary reason why many conservatives are afraid to go out and protest and make their voices heard and maybe bring friends and family to a demonstration and exercise their First Amendment right, because they are literally deathly afraid. And I talk to these people all the time. They're afraid of militants showing up in black bloc and hurting them and their families. And, I've personally witnessed Antifa assaulting hundreds of police officers. I've witnessed them firebombing police departments and federal property. I've witnessed them making death threats against federal agents, police officers, journalists. I think I've witnessed every single person here, maybe not personally, but I've seen them get, hunted down and attacked. And so, this is a group that is responsible for a good percentage, if not a majority, of the violent riots in 2021 and 2020 when Democrat mayors had a kind of a hands-off approach with these left-wing militants. Just as a quick reminder for everybody, we're talking about dozens of murders that happened in those riots. We're talking about billions of dollars of damage to property and communities all over the country. We're talking about thousands of officer injuries. So this isn't just like some little thing that they're, they punch a journalist here and there. No, they're responsible for a lot of damage and a lot of people that have, unfortunately died and basically suppressing people's voices, And so what I did want to talk about is to get this footage, almost every single person in the room here, to get this footage, you have to go undercover because you are at risk of being beaten or worse. You have to go undercover. You have to film low-key to capture them committing crimes. This is stuff that the mainstream media was not doing and has not been doing. They'll show when Antifa is maybe, it's a little bit more peaceful, and they'll show when it's more mellow, but they'll remove the cameras when things get violent and it's actually dangerous to be here. And I have personally witnessed legacy media vans showing up at a riot 300 yards.
I think he might be the last one to speak, and then Trump gets the message about the peace deal going well, and then it's just the reporters get to ask some questions. So we're going to be done here pretty soon. My dog is trying to unplug the show because she wants me to go feed her. So if you see me leaning down here, it's because she's being annoying because she wants her dinner. But yeah, so a troll equals people who disagree. Well, you don't really disagree, Senti. You're just in here spewing propaganda, which is unproven hearsay that, us who actually pay attention to things, are not blinded by this stuff. Like you're making these claims which are clearly not true. For instance, the most recent one about Trump doesn't care about anyone. We're literally watching him with caring behavior as he listens to, in an empathetic manner, what's actually going on and inquiring about the details. That is empathy. That's not narcissism. It's literal proof that he cares. I don't know why you can't see it, dude. I think it's because you don't believe in God.
Away, getting out of the vehicle, filming for 30 seconds, saying something like, fiery but mostly peaceful, packing up, and to add insult to injury, you have Democrat politicians that are saying it's just an idea, right? That's all this is. So it's just an idea. After all of this chaos, it's just an idea. Well, that idea has threatened to kill me and many of my friends that are here today. So, Mr. President, thank you so much for bringing this to the forefront, and it's definitely making a big change. Really appreciate you.
One question. So why is it there are numerous groups? I mean, Antifa is terrible, but you have other groups that I guess probably are almost as bad or just as bad. Not one other group was mentioned. I'm sort of surprised at that. You just come into contact with Antifa? It seems to be that you mostly come into contact with Antifa. Please.
There's a lot of overlap, and I would say that, for instance, Jonathan brought up the Democratic Socialists of America. They're basically the same thing. I mean, there's a lot of Democratic Socialists of America who are out there in black bloc, hiding their faces. And so I think we use, and I do understand, for the record, I do understand the challenge, as Andy pointed out, with Antifa as a
I don't know what evidence you're referring to, Senti, but we're literally, you made the claim that Trump doesn't care, and we're literally watching him care. What evidence are you presenting? I mean, like you sound like so many other people, including the woman that's literally talking right now, who has Trump derangement syndrome, to where you hate this man so much that you're seeing that you're clinging on to the fantasies and the lies as though they're truth, when you're literally watching this man care about people.
graspable entity. I do. But at the end of the day, when you look at behavior, you prosecute behavior, right? We're not prosecuting ideas or ideology, you're prosecuting behavior. So whether you can prove that this amorphous thing is Antifa, or someone has a patch that says Antifa, it doesn't matter. Did they assault someone? Did they assault a federal agent? Were they engaged in rioting? What is it? And so,
of course, this is proof that he cares. He doesn't need to do this. He doesn't need to sit here and listen to these Joe schmoes who are just standalone reporters who are just out there with their phone. He doesn't have to invite them in here to listen to them. Obviously, when you listen, that's caring. If he was the man you claim him to be, he would just be sending in the military. If he was this Nazi or this fascist that people claim him to be, none of this would be happening. People would just disappear. People would just be gathered up and put into camps. It's not happening, dude.
So they're always using that, oh, well, they don't call themselves Antifa, even though some of them literally do. It's called Rose City Antifa. How long has it been around in Portland, Andy?
Since 2007.
They call themselves Antifa. In Seattle, I was outside the federal building, and they were yelling, there's no police here, this is Antifa land. And then at the same time, Democrats, like our governor, oh, Antifa is an idea. But yeah, I think Antifa can overlap with a lot of other entities and organizations.
So he's trying to send in armed forces because they need assistance. The police chief, the Portland police chief literally said the reason why they don't go in and arrest people is because they don't have the numbers. They can't enforce it like they would like to. Donald Trump has said, great, no problem. Let me send in some people to help you. It's not like he's sending in the military to overtake the city. It's not like he's sending in the Marines or the Army or the Green Berets or any of the other military forces to take Portland by force. He's trying to protect the ICE building, which is clearly being destroyed. So the way that, Antifa is presenting it about what's going on is total bullshit. The way that these governors who are claiming that he's trying to send in the military as though he's trying to invade the city is just such BS.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
President Trump, I just wanted to add this real quick, because you were asking which mainstream media outlet is the worst. What I think, it's any of them that decided to call Kilmar Abrego Garcia Maryland Dad. Because when I'm out there on the street talking to these people, they call Maryland Dad is this human, he's actually a human trafficking MS-13 gang member that's illegally in the country. But the amount of people on the street that I spoke with that thought that he was a U.S. citizen that was being deported to Uganda is dangerous. These people genuinely believe, based on what comes out of the garbage standing over here, that you guys are deporting U.S. citizens. So that's what's causing all these problems.
So when you have a governor like Pritzker in Chicago, where you have Illinois, which is in a lot of trouble. Chicago's there, potentially a great city again. It's not great now, but it could be great again. That's why we have to get there soon, because eventually you can't do that. What makes a man like that say that things are wonderful? Why doesn't he say, we love that President Trump is going to come and help us clean up Chicago and make it safe again, as opposed to fighting us and pretending that there weren't 50 murders and 200 shootings and all of that. Why is that? Go ahead, Nick.
To spite you. To spite the administration. That's simply what it's about at this point. Because, if you go and talk to Portland as an example again, because I've been there for so long now, you talk to the neighbors that live in the apartments next door to the ICE facility. There are veterans with PTSD that live there, and they're here all night long screaming, fireworks being lit off by these rioters, children crying because they, can't sleep at night and they're scared of all the noise outside, and they can't leave. They can't. They got a lease. You can't just leave. These people aren't wealthy individuals, and that's one of the major problems here. And these people are afraid to come out and speak out, and they're getting no help from their government at all. They've been begging for the noise ordinance to be enforced outside of their apartment complex for months now, and the city of Portland has ignored them every single time. The victims are, as I said, they're afraid, but the governments aren't doing anything because they want to spite the administration. It's all political.
And the politicians make you feel like you're foolish, like there's something wrong. Like, how could President Trump be saying that about Chicago? And yet the night before you see that, 11 people were shot, 5 people died, and you have him talking about like it's a wonderful situation. They make you feel guilty. And a lot of people don't get over that. They just don't get over it. I think they convince the people. Do wealthy people leave too or not? Places like Portland, are the wealthy people leaving? People that can leave, are they leaving?
I think that they're moving to the areas that have been gentrified. I mean, the Oregon governor, when she was saying, we don't need Trump here, she's walking around. It's a very tight shot, if you notice that. And she said, Portland's just fine. Look at me. And they'll focus on the couple areas of Portland that are very nice. Well, she was saying that,
and there were explosions in the background.
Yeah. I mean, there was a reason they cropped it in.
Explosions in the background.
Sir,
Anybody have anything else to say over here? And then should we be taking questions, or is it just a waste of time? Because they can ask questions, but, there's Brian, he's good. But you know what? In a way, it's a waste of time, because if you give a great answer, they don't put it on. If you give a horrendous answer, or even if you give a great answer, they make it sound like it's not a great answer. They're very dishonest. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, and I think part of that dishonesty comes from what they see. For instance, I've never been asked to go on any other show besides Fox News. My clips go viral everywhere, but they've never even asked, like CNN's never asked, MSNBC's never asked. And a lot of times when I go to hotels, I'll stay and I'll watch like MSNBC.
Fortunately, their ratings are terrible.
They are terrible.
MSNBC is dying, and CNN is dying like a dog.
And
poor CNN, they're so pathetic.
It is very pathetic.
You ever see their anchors in the evening? That nobody ever heard of them. Where do these people come? I could take anybody off the street in Washington, D.C. that do a better job.
Yeah, and it's not hard to show what's going on these days. You literally have an iPhone and you can post it on X.
They don't believe in the star system, It's just one of those things, right? Okay, Nick, you finished, Nick?
Yeah,
Are you
very
finished,
much.
Nick? Good job. Thank you very much. Well, you've been through hell, I tell you that, but you're really incredible patriots, incredible people. Go ahead, please, Brian. Brian, go ahead.
I'm so thankful for each and every one of you here right now, and I'm very grateful that my network, Real America's Voice, has partnered up with many of you. Jack Sobin, you have a show on a network. Many of you, Savannah, have appeared on a network as well, so thank you for being here. My question is this: in terms of following the money, I would just notify that the city of Austin is cleared to vote tomorrow to basically waive a $120,000 fee so that a No Kings, basically an anti-Trump rally, can occur in their city. They're bypassing the fees, rolling it to the taxpayers. So my question is to you: what can the people of Austin, Texas do right now to make sure that their tax dollars don't fund a No Kings anti-Trump rally coming up?
Well, you just tell me that I would love to do something about that. Bring a lawsuit, do something. The best thing you can do is have honest elections, because the elections are totally rigged in so many of these places. You take a look, the people, they're all loving you. They can't breathe. They love so much, every one of them. You don't see one negative, then all of a sudden you lose the election by 20 points. The elections are so rigged, and we proved that in 2020 more than any other time. But even the last election, there were areas that I won by much more. We won in a landslide, but I actually won in more of a landslide than we thought. I said, you got to get out, make it too big to rig. And fortunately, the people made it too big to rig. They tried. They tried. But the biggest thing you can do is have honest elections. You know, if you don't have, and you need great media. You need borders. You need borders. Wait. You need borders. You need honest media. You need honest elections, and you have a great country, and you need all three of them. Yeah, go ahead.
To a lot of these radical groups that you talked about inside here. So thank you for removing.
I would like you to make a big deal, though, if they're waiving a fee, but I guarantee they wouldn't waive it if it was it's not Trump. If it were a conservative rally, they wouldn't be waiving it. So maybe you can look into that, Pam. Todd? That sounds like one for Todd, Pam.
Go. All right, so that's pretty much the end of that. I think we're going to call it there. I got to get going. I have something for you, Senti. You said that you are agnostic, that you stopped believing when you were young. You remind me of the Laodicean church. And I want to read about the Laodicean church because being in the end times right now, this is what Christ said about the people in the end times and what it is that they should be doing. So I think this might be a message for you, my friend. And to the angel of the church of the Laodiceans write, these things says the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of God. I know your works, that you are neither cold nor hot. I could wish you were cold or hot. So then, because you are lukewarm and neither cold or hot, I will vomit you out of my mouth. Because you say, I am rich, have become wealthy, and have need of nothing, and do not know that you are wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. I counsel you to buy from me gold, refined in the fire, that you may be rich, and white garments, that you may be clothed, that the shame of your nakedness may not be revealed, and anoint your eyes with eye salve, that you may see. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Therefore, be zealous and repent. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in to him and dine with him, and he with me. To him who also overcomes, I will grant to sit with me on my throne, as I also overcame and sat down with my Father on his throne. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. That, my friend, is a message directly to you. Where time is getting short, you have a very short time to repent of your ways. You're agnostic. You don't believe one way or the other. I don't even know if you believe in God, but your time is running short, my friend. Doesn't matter what you believe. You're lukewarm. You're going to be spewed out. So you're welcome to be here as long as you're kind and respectful. You're our target audience. You know, we have work to do before Christ returns. Our work is to love God and love our neighbor as ourselves. So, my friends, repent. And with that, I'm going to end the stream, you guys. Have a wonderful night. Shalom, shalom.